Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
Freshly brewed coffee. With a flick of Larry's finger, a cup of coffee floated over to the table. Harag glanced around the room, which was filled with magic potion tubes, and then looked at the coffee, sensing that the aroma seemed different. Larry laughed. "Don't worry, it won't be contaminated by potions. I always follow safety standards during experiments." Harag awkwardly smiled and took a sip of the coffee, finding the taste acceptable. "Come with me." Larry took off the gloves from his hands, plugged the test tube he was holding with a cork, and put on a rack nearby. In the inner room, there was a desk. Larry picked up a book and a notebook from it. "This is the spell model for the Dark Energy Shield, and this notebook contains all my research as a wizard apprentice on this spell. I hope it can be helpful to you," Larry said. "Thank you, Mr. Larry." Harag noticed that the thickness of this notebook was almost catching up with the book. Ordinary wizard apprentices really have to put in tremendous effort to learn a spell, spending countless energy and time to complete the construction of a spell model. The Dark Energy Shield spell is highly practical, but also very challenging. For you, it might take a long time to learn. Don't rush. Make sure to fully understand it before constructing the spell model. Otherwise, it might damage your mind and affect future advancement. Larry offered some suggestions and then talked about points to pay attention to, including some pitfalls he had previously encountered. Only after a whole hour did Harag leave Larry's home. "These experience shares are worth 2 magic stones," Harag thought to himself. Even though he had Shenlong and didn't need to worry about the model construction, these experiences were still very valuable. Although the spell models for Partial Petrification Technique and Corrosive Arrow had been successfully constructed, Harag never stopped researching these spell models. He needed to analyze, learn, and summarize on his own, without relying too heavily on Shenlong. Only with a deep understanding of these principles can he increase his future potential. After returning home, Harag immediately let Shenlong begin analyzing the spell model for the Dark Energy Shield, while he carefully read through the book and notebook content. The analysis and organization of the Dark Energy Shield spell model and related materials are complete and ready for spell model construction at any time. A few minutes later, Shenlong finished analyzing and organizing the relevant materials. Begin construction of the Dark Energy Shield spell model. Task has been filed. Estimated remaining time is 45 minutes. With an expected magic power consumption of 48%. The Dark Energy Shield spell was more complex than Harag imagined, with the time and magic power consumed for the spell model construction far exceeding that of the other 2 level 0 spells. While reading the book and notebook, Harag found that the parameters and formulas for Partial Petrification Technique and Corrosive Arrow were generally under 50, but the Dark Energy Shield spell had over 90 parameters and over 60 related formulas. Moreover, this spell also involved knowledge related to dark energy, which required learning fundamental knowledge related to elemental magic. For ordinary wizard apprentices, this spell was indeed too high tier, and learning it would be laborious. Harag prepared to thoroughly study the related knowledge of this spell. Shenlong could enhance his immediate combat power, but he couldn't slack off in researching and learning these spells himself. With Shenlong, he could obtain precise data, which would help him learn and understand faster. 45 minutes later, the Dark Energy Shield spell model construction is complete. Harag put down the book and began to cast the Dark Energy Shield to see the effect. A black and purple energy shield appeared around Harag's body, providing 365-degree no blind spot defense. "Shenlong, how effective is this shield's defense?" Harag asked. "According to calculations, it can withstand 3 small fireball techniques released by you," Shenlong replied. 3 times, not bad. Harag was quite satisfied, as the small fireball technique was already considered one of the more powerful level 0 spells, and the Dark Energy Shield significantly improved his defense capability and forgiveness. Shenlong provided another tip. If it were a 2nd class or 3rd class wizard apprentice, the strength of release spells would be higher, and it would be expected to only withstand 1.5 times. This was as Harag expected, and as for official wizards, with a vast power gap, no shield would work. Now I finally have some basic combat capability. After completing the learning of these two spells, Harag started planning his next step, which was to make money. Nothing can be done without magic stones and gold coins. Courses and resources all require money. He took out the talisman stone and opened the task interface to start searching for suitable tasks. Harag's standard for searching for tasks was low danger level, and the task rewards are magic stones. Hunt the magical beast giant spirit spider, ensuring the integrity of the silk cocoon, task reward of 20 magic stones. Harag looked up information on the giant spirit spider and immediately gave up on this task. The giant spirit spider requires at least a third-class wizard apprentice to handle, and ensuring the integrity of the silk cocoon added great difficulty. Probably only official wizards or particularly skilled third-class wizard apprentices could take on this task. Necromancy experiment assistant wanted requires knowledge in necromancy, at least a second-class wizard apprentice, task reward of 5 magic stones. This task Harag could also only pass on since he lacked the required strength and knowledge, and necromancy spells generally carry certain risks, with necromancy experiments having the highest accident rate. Many necromancers end up neither dead nor alive due to accidents during experiments. Assassination team hiring. Target is a third-class apprentice. Requires at least a second-class wizard apprentice with strong combat capabilities. Task reward of 15 magic stones. Harag sighed slightly. With insufficient strength, he lacked the qualifications for many tasks. There are too few magic stone tasks available for first-class wizard apprentices, and it took Harag 2 hours to finally find one that seemed suitable. Harvest sleeping mushrooms in the moonlight forest. Exchange 10 mushrooms for 1 magic stone. Less than 10 will be exchanged for 10 gold coins. Harag didn't rush to sign up, but first went to the Gossip Tavern to gather information. After reading some posts, he roughly understood that this task was available every spring and summer. Sleeping mushrooms are a very important magic potion material, required in many magic potion formulas, with high demand. This task is published by the Moonlight Forest, accessible to all wizard apprentices. However, apart from first-class wizard apprentices, few people take on this task due to its low efficiency. Sleeping mushrooms are hidden underground, making them difficult to search for and pick, and they have the characteristic of masking magic power, making them hard to find. Many people spend 3 to 5 days in the Moonlight Forest and may not even find 10, which is too time-consuming. Only first-class wizards often take on this mission, as it's one of the few tasks that can earn magic stones, and it's relatively safe. Harag continued to browse some information about the sleeping mushrooms, which generally grow 20 to 30 centimeters below the ground. Experienced individuals typically rely on their experience to observe if the ground is suitable for sleeping mushrooms and then dig to check for them. This method also has a low success rate. Veterans also need to spend a lot of time. Perhaps I can let Deep Blue give a try. After considering comprehensively, Harag believed this mission might be quite suitable for him. This mission doesn't require formal acceptance. After picking the sleeping mushrooms, you can directly exchange them for magic stones at the operations hall. Once Harag made his decision, he started preparing, needing to buy some related items at the flea market. The Moonlight Forest is located north of the Northern Forest region, taking an hour on foot or just over 20 minutes by carriage. There's a station at the entrance of the Northern Forest region where you can take a carriage to the Moonlight Forest. The fare is 2 silver coins, free for official wizards, although official wizards generally don't take the carriage. While waiting for the carriage at the station, Harag noticed 3 others also waiting, all wearing wizard apprentice robes. Are you going to the Moonlight Forest too? After a brief silence, a chubby wizard initiated the conversation. Yes, it's my first time going there. A frail wizard apprentice said somewhat nervously. After a brief introduction, the 4 of them got to know each other a bit. The chubby wizard is named Mackin. The frail one is called Luca, and the other is named Sunny. Mackin had been there 3 times, having earned a magic stone and some gold coins. The other two were first-timers like Harag. Don't go too deep in the moonlight forest. Stay on the outskirts, Mackin advised. Why? This mission should be quite low risk, Luca asked. Mackin explained. The mission itself isn't dangerous, but the deeper parts of the moonlight forest not only have magical beasts, but you might also encounter people from the Green Cottage. Green Cottage? The moonlight forest is pretty far from them. It should be hard to encounter them, right? Lucas said, recalling the topography. The probability is indeed low, but someone once went too deep and encountered people from Green Cottage, got tortured to death, and their body was hung at the entrance of the moonlight forest. Mackin recounted with a look of fear, as if experiencing it himself. Sonny immediately added, that possibility indeed exists. Members of Green Cottage also come to the moonlight forest to gather resources, so it's best to keep a certain distance. We are all first-class wizard apprentices. We shouldn't go in too deep. Harag listened to their conversation, quietly staying aside without speaking. This information he had learned before, mentioned by someone at the Gossip Tavern. After chatting for a while, the carriage finally arrived. The horse pulling the carriage was a Hellfoot, a hybrid of a magical beast. Flames emitted from its hooves, and it was very fast. The carriages in the moonlight forest didn't have drivers. Hellfoot would pull the carriages back and forth along a fixed route, returning to the stable by itself at dark. The space inside the carriage was small, accommodating 6 people. Hellfoot glanced back to confirm that Harag and the others had boarded, then started running, leaving scorched marks where its flaming hooves tread. The road bore many such footprints. It was early morning, and Harag and the others needed to hurry back before sunset. No matter where you are, forests are particularly dangerous at night. Over 20 minutes later, the 4 alighted at the Moonlight Forest Station. After reaching the station, Hellfoot would pause briefly there, and after ensuring no one disembarked, it would continue onward. The trees within the Moonlight Forest were vast and tall, clearly aged for many years. The ground underneath typically had dense, low shrubs, and near the entrance, there were some distinctly shaped paths, trails made by frequent visitors over the years. Walking further in, the paths disappeared entirely, making it particularly laborious to navigate such jungles. Harag pulled out the long sword from his waist, paving a way while he walked. He chose a direction and began his search, as did the other 3, each picking a direction to start looking for sleeping mushrooms. Shenlong, begin underground scanning for sleeping mushrooms. Harag commanded Shenlong to survey the surroundings. After his physical enhancement, Shenlong's scanning range expanded to 250 meters. Sleeping mushrooms typically reside 20 to 30 centimeters underground, which was more than sufficient. The surface of sleeping mushrooms is coated with a special substance that shields against magic power, though it has no effect on Shenlong. Sleeping mushrooms detected, location marked in red. Shenlong promptly notified Harag after just a few steps. In Harag's vision, a red, shuttle-shaped mushroom lay a few meters ahead, underground. Harag took out a shovel from his space ring, and at the marked spot, began digging. He was extra cautious while digging, knowing the mushrooms were situated so close to the surface that any carelessness could damage them. A few minutes later, Harag caught sight of the sleeping mushroom's top. The sleeping mushroom had no cap. Its body was entirely purple. Harag cleared the surrounding soil from the sleeping mushroom's location and easily extracted it. The first sleeping mushroom was secured. Harag pressed forward, with Shenlong's assistance saving him considerable observation time. The ground was covered with too many low plants, and even for veterans, merely observing would consume much time. 5 minutes later, Harag paused as Shenlong detected another sleeping mushroom. Within a morning, Harag found 16 sleeping mushrooms. Noting the early hour, he ate some dry food and continued searching for sleeping mushrooms. Only when the forest darkened did Harag look up to realize it was already evening. He tallied his haul, 55 sleeping mushrooms in total, covered in dew and many leaves, with his pant legs muddied. Harag wiped the sweat from his brow and began heading out, staying on the Moonlight Forest outskirts without venturing deeper, and reached the entrance in about 10 minutes. Walking in the forest expends a lot of energy. Having spent an entire day inside, Harag felt somewhat weary. He was the first to exit, and after a while, the other three followed suit. The three others looked even more bedraggled than he did, especially Mackin, whose bulk was soaked in sweat, drenching his robe. "How many did you dig up?" Mackin asked weakly. "Two," Luca replied. Sonny spoke up too. Mackin took a breath and said, "I only found 3. I'm exhausted." "How about you, Harag?" Harag smiled wryly and said, "Not much different from you all, nothing gained." "That's normal. It's your first time here and lacking experience. You'll get better with familiarity." Mackin seemed to feel slightly better and started comforting the others. Although he himself only found 3, Harag looked at the 50, dashed 5 sleeping mushrooms in his ring, and realized another problem. If he submitted this many sleeping mushrooms, it would be a bit too noticeable. There's no way a normal person could find so many. "Looks like I need to exchange them in batches and avoid these few people," Harag thought to himself. Dividing 55 into 5 exchanges for magic stones would still draw attention, but at least it wouldn't be so conspicuous. He couldn't avoid exchanging them, as he was now in urgent need of magic stones. Harag's current plan was to earn magic stones and then learn more level 0 spells. Generally, a first-class wizard apprentice only masters 1 or 2 level 0 spells. Second and third-class wizard apprentices know a few more, but not many. Harag had Shenlong, allowing him to quickly master level 0 spells, which was his advantage. The more level 0 spells he knew, the more solutions would be available in various situations. For example, defensive level 0 spells. Harag was planning to learn the Ice Shield and Mana Shield together later on. Having more means would enhance his survival ability. They waited for a while at the station, and Helfoot arrived, taking them to the Northern Forest Region Station. "Are you going to the affairs hall to submit sleeping mushrooms?" Mackin asked. Sonny shook his head. "I'm planning to gather 10 and exchange them for magic stones. Gold coins are insignificant." That's the most reasonable approach. We can continue tomorrow." Mackin nodded. Mackin and the other 2 arranged to set off together the following day, but Harag expressed that he couldn't join due to other commitments and went home alone. He didn't want too much interaction with these people, as his efficiency in finding sleeping mushrooms was very high, and getting too familiar with them would make it difficult to act independently. Mackin and the others didn't mind, as many in the wizard community liked to keep to themselves, which was normal. Early the next morning, Harag arrived at the affairs hall. The official Moonlight Forest-specific tasks had a dedicated window, where sleeping mushrooms were to be submitted. After consideration, Harag decided to exchange 50 sleeping mushrooms at once. If he divided it into 5 exchanges, it would only be meaningful with long time intervals, which would slow down acquiring magic stones. If the intervals weren't enough, frequent submissions would still draw attention. Submitting 50 at once would make others think he'd been storing them for a long time, as long as Mackin and the others didn't see him. If it's still noticed by someone with intentions, there's nothing that can be done. I'll just deal with it as it comes. Harag had already prepared himself mentally. "I'd like to submit sleeping mushrooms." After waiting in line for a while, it was Harag's turn. "Okay, hand them over." "How many?" Behind the window was a young man named Andrew, who seemed like a wizard apprentice working here. The Moonlight Forest frequently released this type of task post, and wizard apprentices could take the job once they passed the assessments. These posts usually had good benefits. "These 50. Harag took out a small basket from his space ring filled with sleeping mushrooms. Andrew was somewhat surprised, counted the mushrooms in the basket, confirmed it was indeed 50. Although the quantity was large, it wasn't unheard of. Some people would stockpile a lot and exchange them all at once. He confirmed the count, started filling out some forms, then took 5 magic stones from the storehouse and filled out another form. Both the number of sleeping mushrooms and magic stones need to be strictly recorded to prevent anyone from lining their pockets. "Here you go." After completing the paperwork, Andrew handed Harag the 5 magic stones. After leaving the affairs hall, Harag went straight to Larry's house, having communicated earlier through the talisman stone. He still owed Larry 1 magic stone. Harag knocked on the door, and after a moment, the house elf Gammy opened it. He looked up at Harag and said, "Mr. Harag, please hand me the magic stone. The master is busy and doesn't have time to see you." "Okay, don't get greedy. I've already discussed with Mr. Larry." Harag handed the magic stone over, a bit uneasy, and reminded him. Gammy glanced at Harag with disdain. As he closed the door, said, "No house elf dares to steal from the master." After settling the matter, Harag continued to rush toward the Moonlight Forest, planning to continue gathering sleeping mushrooms to accumulate magic stones as much as possible. When he arrived at the Northern Forest Region Station, there were two unfamiliar faces waiting there, a man and a woman, both maintaining silence without talking to each other. Hellfoot soon arrived, and the three of them sat in the vehicle without speaking. Harag and the male, which got off at the Moonlight Forest, while the female, which continued to ride, presumably to some other destination. Entering the Moonlight Forest, Harag chose a direction different from yesterday and began a carpet search, seeing some footprints along the way, but never encountering Mackin and his group. By sunset, Harag had found a total of 42 sleeping mushrooms, fewer than yesterday. While waiting for the vehicle at the station, Mackin's group, along with the man who had gotten off with Harag, also emerged. Mackin's expression was somewhat disheartened. It seemed today's yield wasn't great. He only nodded silently upon seeing Harag. Harag pondered that the areas he'd searched over the past 2 days had probably been exhaustive. Conversely, the difficulty for Mackin and the others in finding sleeping mushrooms had greatly increased. Their expressions suggested possibly having spent the day searching in areas Harag had already covered. Of course, Harag would remain silent about this and stood quietly to the side waiting for the vehicle. "Why was our luck so bad today? We didn't find a single one all day," Mackin complained. Sonny also sighed. "It does seem odd. The three of us didn't dig up even one. Our luck really is quite poor." The unknown man joined the conversation, saying, "We didn't find any either." "Same here. Worked all day and got nothing." Soon Hellfoot roared over, carrying a car full of gloomy people back to the Moonlight Forest. In the vehicle, Luca, the weakest-looking of Mackin's group, sighed, "I won't be coming tomorrow. Mushroom digging efficiency is too low. I can't waste my time digging in the dirt." Mackin and Sonny stayed silent, appearing still intent on continuing. 3 days later, Harag returned to the affairs hall to exchange for 4 magic stones. Over the past few days, he hadn't returned to the Moonlight Forest to avoid any trouble with Mackin's group. It was also to avoid drawing others' attention, deliberately waiting a few days before going to the affairs hall to complete the sleeping mushroom task. In the meantime, as usual, he meditated routinely, studying and learning various level 0 spell models, especially Larry's notes, filled with valuable learning materials. At the task window of the affairs hall, Andrew looked at Harag's departing figure and muttered, "Are sleeping mushrooms really that easy to dig up lately? But other than him, there's hardly anyone completing the sleeping mushroom task. It's strange." He pulled out a talisman stone and opened Mackin's chat window to ask, "Haven't seen you submit sleeping mushrooms for several days. How are you doing recently?" Mackin was an old hand at picking sleeping mushrooms and often came to Andrew to submit them in exchange for magic stones, so the two were quite familiar with each other. "Don't get me started. These days I can't find where those damn sleeping mushrooms have gone, and I still haven't gathered 10. Mackin complained with a frown. "Can't be true. Lately, someone has submitted a total of 90 sleeping mushrooms here. I thought they were easy to dig up lately. I was even tempted to try myself." Andrew exclaimed in surprise. 90? Impossible. Mackin's first reaction was disbelief. He had been digging sleeping mushrooms for a while and had never seen anyone dig that many. Seeing his disbelief, Andrew continued to reply, "Really, it's a new first-class wizard apprentice who joined the forest not long ago. Submitted 50 sleeping mushrooms 4 days ago and another 40 today. You often hang around Moonlight Forest. Maybe you know him." "What's his name?" Mackin asked. "Harag, do you know him?" Andrew said casually. Mackin felt the name was both familiar and unfamiliar. then suddenly slapped his thigh. Isn't he that loner kid? I was wondering why he didn't socialize with us much. Looks like he has some special method to dig sleeping mushrooms. No wonder our harvest has been so little these days. It seems this kid's dug them all up. Mackin thought of his hard work in the past days without gains, feeling a bit frustrated. I have a total of 8 magic stones now, enough to use for the time being. I need to convert these into instant combat power. Harag opened the talisman stone to contact Larry. Mr. Larry, how much for the ice shield and mana shield on your side? He planned to learn all 3 shield spells to create a turtle shell strategy. These 2 are a bit cheaper, both are 2 magic stones. Larry replied, I'm planning to buy them all. Mr. Larry, do you have any recommendations for attack-type spells? Asked Harag. Buy them all? Oh, right. The dark energy shield is indeed a bit challenging for you, so switching to these 2 is not a bad idea. Larry assumed that Harag couldn't master the dark energy shield. He continued, I have many level 0 spells here. Some are attack-type and control support-type spells. There are approximately these: Earth Spike Technique, Bone Spike Technique, Small Fireball Technique, Ice Arrow, Ice Cone Technique, Magical Perception, Flash, Fainted Earth Binding Technique. Larry sent over a long list of level 0 spell names, making Harag's eyes dizzy. The first few were some common attack spells, while many at the back Harag had never heard of. He asked, Mr. Larry, what's the effect of Magical Perception? Magical Perception allows your magic to spread within a certain range around your body, forming a circle, and you can sense all movements within this range. The stronger your spiritual power, the bigger the circle. It's quite practical and effective in actual combat, and I highly recommend you learn this. Larry explained, the effect is good, but I have a more powerful Shenlong, which makes this seem a bit redundant. Harag secretly compared, as Shenlong now has a range of 250 meters. Magic is often subject to limitations in many situations, but Shenlong's detection is hard to limit. What's the effect of this flash spell? Harag continued to look at the spells at the back. This spell is also quite good. It's one of the rare spatial-type spells among level 0 spells, allowing instant movement within a small range of space. However, it consumes a lot of mana, and you, as a first-class wizard apprentice, may only be able to cast it once per battle. Larry introduced. Harag's eyes lit up. This spell is great. Very useful at critical moments. He then asked, Mr. Larry, how much for Flash? It's a bit more expensive, 3 magic stones. Then I'll take Flash along with Ice Shield and Mana Shield, a total of 7 magic stones. I'll take them all. Harag waved a big hand, leaving him with only 1 magic stone. Larry teased, You've got quite some money, kid. He didn't ask Harag where he got so many magic stones from either. Building 5, Zone C, Harag held several thick books and a notebook. The notebook was for the flash spell. Larry didn't have notes for the other 2 spells. These spells will keep you busy studying for a long time, Larry said while taking a sip of coffee. Harag replied as he held the books, Yes, I'll study and research them diligently when I get back. Larry suddenly remembered something, put down his coffee cup, and said, By the way, I'm going to have a magic potion class later. You can sign up to listen. When you advance to second-class apprentice, you'll also need to refine dawn potions. Dawn potions? Harag had a simple understanding, knowing that promotion to second-class apprentice requires potions after meeting the spiritual power standard, but hadn't delved into it yet, as he was still far from his upgrade. Dawn Potion can help you advance to second-class apprentice more smoothly. With your aptitude, it should be easy to advance with Dawn Potion, but you'll need to buy the raw materials for refining them yourself, or purchase the materials and commission someone else to refine them. Larry explained. How much are materials? Harag asked. About 40 magic stones per portion. If you commission an official wizard like me to refine it, you need to prepare at least 2 portions of materials, with service fees starting at 30 magic stones. If successful on the first try, materials are not refunded, counted as commission payment. Even if both tries fail, you can't reclaim the service fee. That's the rule, Larry continued. But for a wizard, magic potion refining is a fundamental skill you'll definitely need to master in the future. You can't always commission others to refine potions for you, so you'd best sign up for the upcoming magic potion class. Harag, unable to bow holding the books, stored them all in his space ring, then thanked. Understood. Thank you for the guidance, Mr. Larry. Your space ring's quite nice. Didn't expect a first-class wizard apprentice like you to have something like this. Larry had noticed before, but mentioned it casually now. This, a friend gave it to me. It's Lillian from Augustus Academy. Harag said. He learned after arriving at Moonlight Forest that such space rings are rare even here, quite valuable, and generally unaffordable for ordinary wizard apprentices. I owe a lot of favors, Harag thought, realizing he currently had nothing to give back to Lillian, but would consider it in the future. Shunlan analyzed the spell models of Ice Shield, Mana Shield, and Flash, and calculate the time and magic power consumption required to construct the models. After Harag got home, he immediately began flipping through the spell models of these 3 spells. After going through them all, he had Shunlan input the data information for analysis. Task has been filed. Entering data for analysis. 1 minute later, Shunlan provided the results. Level 0 spell Ice Shield. Estimated spell model construction time is 15 minutes, with an estimated magic power consumption of 13%. Level 0 spell Mana Shield. Estimated spell model construction time is 20 minutes, with an estimated magic power consumption of 15%. Level 0 spell Flash. Estimated spell model construction time is 30 minutes, with an estimated magic power consumption of 21%. The 3 tasks executed serially are expected to consume 66 minutes and 40% magic power. Looking at the calculated results in front of him, Harag murmured to himself. Currently, Shunlan can only execute tasks serially and cannot execute multiple tasks simultaneously. The magic power consumption isn't much. Let's tackle these 3 spells today. He immediately gave the command. Shunlan, begin constructing the spell models for Ice Shield, Mana Shield, and Flash. Task has been filed. In Harag's mind, Shunlan began constructing the spell models one by one, starting with Ice Shield. To an ordinary wizard apprentice, Harag would seem like a madman. No one would attempt to construct 3 spell models in one go. 66 minutes later, spell model construction is complete. Ordinary wizard apprentices would take at least a year to master these 3 spells, but Harag took just over an hour. 6 level 0 spells for defensive, 1 offensive, and 1 for displacement. Harag counted the level 0 spells he had mastered. As long as he wasn't facing an official wizard or a formidable third-class wizard apprentice, he should have no problem protecting himself. I'll go mushroom picking again in a couple of days, but first I'll thoroughly digest the information from these spell models. Harag now only had 1 magic stone left, and enrolling in a magic potion class would cost money, as would practicing magic potion refining. Picking sleeping mushrooms is currently the most efficient and safe task. Harag planned to exploit this task as much as possible. 3 days later, Harag set out again for Moonlight Forest. Not long after he left, a figure emerged from the corner of the wall behind. It was Sunny, who was with Mackin. He took out a talisman stone to send a message to Mackin. He has left. It looks like he is heading to Moonlight Forest. Great. Finally, he's out. Ever since Mackin learned that Harag had picked so many sleeping mushrooms, he teamed up with Sunny, and they took turns staking out near Harag's place. After staking out for 3 days, they finally saw Harag leave. Mackin speculated that Harag had a special method to find sleeping mushrooms quickly, and since Harag was just a newly joined first-class wizard apprentice in the forest, he and Sunny figured they could take Harag down together and then force him to reveal his method, thereby making a fortune picking sleeping mushrooms. Mackin was even considering how to deal with Sunny, regarding Harag as no real threat and sure to be taken down. He couldn't let a second person know the special method. The one to be cautious about was Sunny. Harag was waiting at the station for the arrival of Hellfoot, and he glanced back. Sunny and Mackin did not show up. He chuckled. It's fine if they come together. The detection range of Shunlan's environment is 250 meters, so Sunny and Mackin had long been exposed in Harag's field of vision. Sunny, Power 2.0, Agility 1.8, Constitution 2.8, Spirit 6.7. Mackin, Power 2.1, Agility 2.2, Constitution 3.1, Spirit 7.3. Herag already had a good grasp of the data of these two, just waiting for them to bite the hook. Fighting is not allowed in the towns and northern forest region of the Moonlight Forest, but the Moonlight Forest does not prohibit members from killing each other. Conflict of interest among wizards is normal. If there's a dispute, solve it outside. The Moonlight Forest won't bother with such affairs. The one who survives is stronger and more valuable to the forest. This is the survival law here. Unless you are an important figure in Moonlight Forest, no one will care about your life and death, as long as you don't disrupt the normal order of the forest. This is also why Mackin and Sunny could only stake out outside. They didn't dare to make a move in the northern forest region. They could only act without restraint when Herag went to places like Moonlight Forest. Herag was the only passenger on the carriage he took, and after he reached the entrance of Moonlight Forest, he started walking inside, waiting for the arrival of Mackin and Sunny. Soon after, the next carriage arrived, and the passengers alighting were Mackin and Sunny. After getting off, they both looked around cautiously. "That kid must have already gone in," Mackin said as he looked at the dense Moonlight Forest. "How about we split up? I'll search the left side. You search the right side," Sunny suggested. Mackin nodded. "Okay, if you find that kid, don't act rashly. Quietly notify me so we can take him down together." "No problem," Sunny replied with a smile. The two entered Moonlight Forest and then separated left and right, Mackin sneering to himself. "I'll deal with that kid first, then you." After walking some distance, Sunny glanced back at Mackin's position. He had the same thought as Mackin, planning to get Herag's secret before dealing with Mackin. "Herag, you better not go to the right," Mackin thought as he explored the jungle, keeping an eye on the tracks. He soon found signs of trampled shrubs, with clear human footprints on the ground. Sunny didn't hide his joy. Herag went this way. In the far, shaded jungle, Herag was observing Sunny through Shenlong's environmental monitoring. Their initial conversation was heard loud and clear by him. He stayed at the maximum distance within Shenlong's monitoring range, ensuring he could keep track of the two while not exposing his own position. Herag was waiting for a gap between the two to take them down one by one. He chose Sunny first, as he seemed relatively weaker. Herag was lurking in the forest, retreating slowly as Sunny advanced, always maintaining a distance. The traces in the mountain forest were deliberately left by him to lure Sunny deeper. Once Sunny entered a relatively open area, Herag made his move. A corrosive arrow quickly formed in his hand, silently traversing through the air, striking Sunny's abdomen. Sunny's area lacked tall trees, covered mainly by low shrubs. Upon hearing the whistling sound, Sunny became alert. When the brush beside him was cut, he sensed danger and instinctively dodged to the side. The corrosive arrow grazed his waist and abdomen, not penetrating his stomach, but leaving a mark, which was enough. Sunny immediately used a mana shield. The milky light shield appearing around him made him feel slightly relieved. The corrosive arrow left a black scar on Sunny's waist, with corrosive energy starting to burrow into his flesh, blood mixing with a foul-smelling black liquid seeping out. The searing pain made Sunny involuntarily cry out. The corrosive energy clung to his flesh like a branding iron, continuously burning his blood and flesh. Sunny's hand trembling, he took out a bottle of white sage healing potion, poured on the wound, and a white smoke rose up with a sizzling sound. He grimaced in pain, and at the same time, 2 corrosive arrows were successively shot, hitting the mana shield. The corrosive energy of the corrosive arrows also had a corrosive effect on the mana shield, requiring Sunny to supply more magic power to maintain and repair the mana shield. He glanced in the direction the corrosive arrows were shot from, unable to find Herag's trace. Sunny's expression was uncertain, and after contemplating for a while, he still decided to go back to find Mackin. Boom! As he turned around, a fireball struck from behind, fiercely smashing into his mana shield and exploding. The blast sent Sunny flying several meters, visibly thinning the mana shield. No, I have to find Mackin. Sunny turned and cast an ice arrow, the ice arrow swiftly piercing through the forest, frosting the branches and leaves it brushed past. Harag watched as the ice arrow passed a few meters away. Sunny didn't know his exact location at all. He maintained his distance, following Sunny unhurriedly, occasionally shooting a corrosive arrow. Sunny's mana shield quickly became unsustainable as he consumed too much magic power maintaining it. Wind Elf's Blessing. Unable to maintain the mana shield, Sunny's heart pounded furiously, using enchantment magic of demonized items. A gust of wind swirled around his body, and Sunny's speed increased significantly, quickly distancing himself from Harag. Harag wasn't in a hurry to catch up. In Shinlan's perception, Mackin was already approaching and would soon meet Sunny. If I can't handle it, I can retreat safely. Harag remained hidden in the forest, maintaining his distance. Mackin, I found the kid, got ambushed. Sunny cried out as he saw Mackin, looking quite disheveled. Mackin looked at him oddly. Ambushed? Sunny, sensing something off in his gaze, instinctively stepped back, pointing with his finger toward the forest. He's over there. Mackin nodded. I'll take care of him, but... A huge ice cone rapidly formed in front of him and then launched towards Sunny. You! Sunny's eyes widened, too close to Mackin. He hastily conjured a feeble mana shield. With little magic power left, the mana shield he produced had limited defensive capability. Sunny's mana shield couldn't withstand the ice cone technique. The ice cone effortlessly shattered the shield and pierced Sunny's chest. Blood spurted, staining the ice cone red. Sunny was slammed into a tree by the ice cone's impact, mouth agape, spitting a mixture of blood and shattered organs. With one last hateful glance at Mackin, he dropped his head, lifeless. Having killed Sunny, Mackin cautiously hid behind a large tree, observing the surroundings. He noticed the wounds on Sunny's body, marks of the corrosive arrows. That stuff was troublesome, and he didn't want to get hit. He heard movement to his right and immediately put up a mana shield similar to Sunny's. A corrosive arrow struck the mana shield, creating ripples. Mackin quickly dodged to the other side of the tree. Before long, another corrosive arrow shot over. Damn, how does he know my location? Mackin's mana shield withstood this attack. He glanced in the direction the corrosive arrows were coming from. The dense woods made it impossible to see Harag. The only offensive magic he knew was Ice Cone technique, which required a large amount of magic power and couldn't be used for probing. He had to wait for the right opportunity to strike, just like when he effortlessly killed Sunny. The dense jungle severely restricted his abilities, and unexpectedly, Harag could accurately hit him with corrosive arrows from outside his field of vision. I need to close the distance. Mackin started moving towards Harag's direction, using the many trees as cover. Harag leisurely used corrosive arrows to deplete Mackin's magic power, knowing the need to maintain and repair the mana shield would consume a lot. As Mackin approached, Harag also slowly retreated, keeping a certain distance but not too far, lest Mackin escape like Sunny, making it hard to catch up. No, at this rate, I'm finished. After pursuing a certain distance, Mackin realized much of his magic power had been consumed. Yet Harag remained in an elusive position, causing him anxiety and helplessness. Leaning against a tree, Mackin thought, this guy's too slippery. If I keep chasing, I'm dead. Seems like I need to retreat. The kid kept his distance, which means he can't handle me either. Corrosive arrows can't deliver a fatal blow. After weighing his options, Mackin decided to abandon the chase, not wanting to fall here. Getting ready to run? Harag immediately noticed Mackin's slow retreat, using the dense trees to avoid his corrosive arrows. Harag slowly followed, occasionally taking the chance to shoot a corrosive arrow to sap Mackin's energy. Sweat covered Mackin's brow as his magic dwindled, increasing the pressure on him. Harag clung on like a parasitic worm, never closing in, just depleting him with corrosive arrows. Harag's corrosive arrows were precise, and his timing impeccable, always managing to drain his mana shield. As Macken neared the entrance to the Moonlight Forest, his mana shield was so weak it was barely maintainable. Herag took out a spirit-stabilizing potion, fully replenishing his magic power. This was something he acquired on credit from Larry, worth 10 magic stones, something a typical first-class wizard apprentice couldn't afford. After drinking the potion, Herag increased his speed, catching up to Macken in a few strides, appearing in his sight. Ice Shield, Mana Shield, Dark Energy Shield. Herag slapped on 3 shields, each a different color, layering them over himself securely. Ice Cone Technique. Macken hesitated not at all. He had reserved enough magic power for one Ice Cone Technique, waiting for Herag to get close for a fatal strike. The massive ice cone swiftly formed and charged toward the fully shielded Herag. Damn! How could he master so many spells? After launching the Ice Cone Technique, Macken prepared to flee, seeing Herag fully shielded. He didn't believe the Ice Cone Technique could kill the fully shielded Herag, and with his magic nearly depleted, he needed to escape quickly. Macken turned his head and saw a bright, long sword swing past. Clutching his throat and unable to speak, blood flowed like a waterfall, blood bubbles gurgled from his mouth. Looking at Herag, who was covered in shields, he collapsed to the ground full of confusion in his eyes. Remaining magic power at 3%, Shenlong issued a warning. Herag felt mentally exhausted. The spell Flash consumes too much magic power. Casting at once uses up 49% of magic power. At the moment the ice cone rushed towards him, he decisively used Flash to appear behind Macken, then killed Macken with a single strike. Caught off guard and with almost no magic power left, Macken died without being able to resist at all. Need to leave quickly. Herag searched the bodies of Macken and Sunny, found a ring and 4 magic stones, and quickly left the Moonlight Forest. His current magic power was not even enough to cast a single corrosive arrow, so if danger arose, he could only rely on hand-to-hand combat. After returning to the inn, Helfwood arrived shortly after, with no one in the carriage. The journey went smoothly, and once in the northern forest region, it was quite safe, so Herag was able to relax his tense spirit a bit. If Macken and Sunny's bodies were not discovered in time, they would soon be dragged away and eaten by the beasts and magical creatures in the Moonlight Forest. Even if discovered, it had nothing to do with him. The Forest District would just record the incident, as such things were quite common. During his stay in the Moonlight Forest, Herag felt it provided a platform. Wizards study and exchange resources here, with everything requiring equal exchange and not like schools with strict wizard management. Freedom also represents disorder. Wind Elf's Ring, enchanted with a level 0 spell, Wind Elf's Blessing. The green ring in Herag's hand was taken from Sunny, and the enchanted spell seemed to be able to increase the agility attribute. The exact value would need to be tested later when his magic power recovered. I'll go pick mushrooms in the Moonlight Forest in a few days. Herag planned to wait until this matter settled before going to avoid further trouble. 2 days later, Herag pulled a chair onto the balcony and lay down, carefully studying the spell model of Flash. Beside him, a small stove was burning brightly, with a teapot on top boiling coffee. The aroma wafted out, refreshing and enlivening him. The practical value of the spell Flash is high, but the magic power consumption is too much. Herag paused at this thought, then issued a command to Shenlong. Shenlong, can you optimize the spell Flash to reduce magic power consumption? Conducting data analysis. Data analysis complete, calculations complete, level 0 spell Flash can be optimized. After optimization, casting at once is estimated to consume 37% magic power. From 49% to 37%, it's quite a significant optimization. This result was sufficient to reduce a lot of the magic power burden. He continued to ask, Shenlong, can you optimize the level 0 spell Flash to increase the flash distance? Conducting data analysis. Lack of sufficient spatial magic data, suggests providing ample, fundamental principles of spatial magic. As expected, as Herag predicted, there was currently no way to increase the range of Flash. He had almost no understanding of the principles of spatial magic, and all of Shenlong's calculations required data as a foundation. Only with enough input can calculations be performed and output generated. Shenlong, start optimizing the level 0 spell Flash. Direction of optimization is reduced magic power consumption. Task archived. Estimated remaining time, 26 minutes. Estimated magic power consumption, 31%. Level 0 spell, Flash optimization complete. Herag noticed some changes in the spell model of Flash in his mind, with some slight modifications that allowed more magic power to be saved without affecting the original effect of Flash. Shenlong, optimize the level 0 spell mana shield. There are 3 optimization approaches. 1. Increase shield's defensibility. 2. Reduce magic power consumption. 3. Both increase shield's defensibility and reduce magic power consumption. Herag proposed 3 optimization solutions for mana shield to see how far Shenlong could achieve. Conducting calculation and analysis. Analysis complete. All 3 optimization solutions are feasible. Seeing this was possible, Herag continued to inquire about optimization plans for Ice Shield and Dark Energy Shield. Ice Shield could enhance defense capability and reduce magic power consumption, while Dark Energy Shield could only reduce magic power consumption, lacking data to enhance defensibility. Herag thought it was likely due to a lack of knowledge in elemental magic, which would need to be supplemented later. He then asked for an optimization solution for Corrosive Arrow. Shenlong, how can Corrosive Arrow be optimized? Conducting calculation and analysis. Level 0 spell Corrosive Arrow can optimize the amount of magic power consumption, enhancing the corrosive effect. After Shenlong provided the result, Herag began to arrange his own plan for optimizing level 0 spells. Shenlong optimizing spells required the consumption of magic power, and Herag had only so much magic power. It took him 4 days to fully optimize all his spells once over. Even the partial petrification technique had its magic power consumption reduced somewhat. Ice Shield, Mana Shield, Dark Energy Shield. Herag sequentially cast 3 shield spells on himself, checking his remaining magic power, 68%. Before Shenlong optimized these 3 spells, just casting 3 shields would consume half of his mana. Now it only used up 32%. With the Starry Sky meditation technique, the 5th star had solidified halfway. Herag estimated that he should complete this meditation within a month. Once this star successfully formed, he would be close to advancing to a 2nd-class wizard apprentice, ready to prepare the dawn potion needed for this promotion. There's a message. The talisman stone flickered with a green light. Upon opening it, Herag found a message from Larry. I've opened registration for the magic potion course. If you're interested, you can sign up and attend. I'll go sign up right away. After replying, Herag found the Start Magic Potions class by Larry in the course section. The course cost 20 gold coins, not expensive at all. You don't need to buy books, just use mine from before, which have some notes that can help you study. Larry continued. Thank you, Mr. Larry. Herag clearly felt that Larry was placing more value on him, likely due to recognizing his potential. Herag knew clearly that what he gained now, he would need to exchange with a corresponding price in the future. As he grows gradually, if there's a spot where Larry needs his help, he would likely ask him for some assistance. Equivalent exchange is always the creed that wizards follow. After registering, Herag wandered around the Gossip Tavern, which is similar to a forum from his past life where one can post and communicate. The bodies of Mackin and Sunny have already been found, and someone in the Gossip Tavern has posted about it for discussion. Someone suggested they were killed by people from the Green Cottage, while others speculated it was internal conflict, and some believed a third party was involved. However, the post quickly sank. The death of 2 first-class wizard apprentices in the Moonlight Forest is really a trivial matter, not even worthy as tea-time gossip. Herag took out the Wind Elf Ring and input magic power to trigger the enchantment spell. Shenlong, Check my body data. Harag Merlin. Power 2.2, Agility 2.0, plus 2, Constitution 3.0, Spirit 6.9, Magic Power 100%. Increased agility by 2 points, quite a good ring. The numbers in parentheses represent external attribute bonuses. Feeling the lightness of his body, Harag felt that he could jump and fly away. Shenlong, how long can the wind elf's blessing last? This was Harag's first time encountering blessing spells. Approximately half an hour, Shenlong replied. Looking at the blessing, Harag had some thoughts. Perhaps I can get more blessing spells. Let Shenlong optimize magic power consumption, and during battles stack all blessings and shields on myself. The combat power should be considerable. But blessings are always temporary if the body could. A week later, Larry's magic potion class started. Harag, come here. As soon as Harag stepped into the classroom, Larry called him over, waving at him. Larry picked up a thick, basic introduction to magic potions from the podium. This is the textbook I used before. Take it and use it. Thank you, Mr. Larry. Harag took the book and found a seat in the front row. The classroom had 12 people in total. Most were first-class apprentices, with 3 second-class apprentices. Once Larry saw that almost everyone had arrived, he began the lecture. Gentlemen and ladies, welcome to my magic potion class. First, close your basic introduction to magic potions. Our first class won't cover any content from a book. In the first lesson, we will spend 3 hours discussing one thing. He turned around and wrote on the blackboard, experimental standards and safety guidelines. After writing, Larry pointed at the words on the blackboard. Magic potion. These words are the most crucial foundation. The properties and formulas of magic potions can be learned slowly, but standards and guidelines must be ingrained in one's bones. Cultivating good experimental habits is essential. There are always wizards who ignore some basic requirements, even many official wizards. If a magic potion experiment goes wrong, losing one's life is a minor issue. Many potion experiments can cause large-scale disasters. Once someone saw ordinary people dying of hunger, he started researching a potion that could make cows grow from the ground. Guess what happened? The moment his potion was spilled onto the ground, it directly opened a passage connecting to the other world. All creatures within 1,000 miles of the passage were wiped out, and 2 wizard organizations spent 30 years sealing it at great cost. And the reason for this situation was simply that he didn't disinfect the damn test tube before mixing the potion. He never got a chance to correct his mistake, even though it was just a basic guideline. A wizard apprentice raised their hand. Mr. Larry, so can his potion really make cows grow from the ground? Fool! Of course not. Ha ha ha. The classroom burst into laughter. Larry clapped his hands, and the classroom quieted down. With a flick of his fingers, the pile of parchment papers on the desk flew up, landing one by one in front of each wizard apprentice. Here are 168 experimental rules. Everyone must memorize them. While you're just starting to learn, cultivate good experimental habits from the beginning. Next, I will explain each rule one by one, including why they are necessary. Many are marked by blood lessons. Larry held a parchment containing the rules and began explaining them from the first one. 3 hours quickly passed, and he finished explaining the 168 rules, clearly showing his experience. Magic potion experimental standards and safety guidelines have been recorded. Shenlong documented all the content throughout. Shenlong, remember to remind me in a timely manner if there are any non-standard practices when I conduct experiments. Harag instructed. Task archived. While tidying up the desk, Larry spoke. That's it for today. Today's lesson is the most important one. I hope none of those who have attended my class will suffer injuries or even die due to potion experiments. Larry's basic introduction to Magic Potions class consisted of 5 sessions, completed over 2 weeks. The first session covered experimental standards and norms, followed by 2 theory classes and 2 experimental classes. Harag listened attentively to each session, and with Shenlong's assistance, he ensured no knowledge points were missed. Shenlong could also correct any errors promptly. The raw materials for the Dawn Potion cost 40 magic stones, and even with Shenlong's assistance, Achieving a 100% success rate is impossible. Assuming at least 2 sets of materials are needed, that totals 80 magic stones. Harag calculated the magic stones needed to advance to second-class wizard apprentice, then glanced at the 5 magic stones in his pocket and instantly understood what true poverty felt like. Furthermore, he owed Larry 10 magic stones. No wonder so many people remain stuck at first-class wizard apprentice. Without a background, even accumulating enough potion resources takes a long time to acquire magic stones. And this is just the advancement from first class to second class. The subsequent transition from second class to third class and finally to official wizard requires an enormous amount of resources. Harag felt overwhelmed by the resources required, far beyond his expectations. Tomorrow, I'll go to the Moonlight Forest to gather mushrooms. It's July now, and sleeping mushrooms only grow in summer. I must seize this opportunity to earn more. Harag calculated that based on previous progress, he could earn 5 to 6 magic stones per day, and by gathering mushrooms for a month, he could earn 156 in an ideal scenario. Early the next morning, he went to the entrance of the Moonlight Forest again, and not far in was the place where Mackin was defeated. Traces could still faintly be seen on the ground. Few people had come to the Moonlight Forest in recent days. Due to Mackin and Sunny suddenly dying here, other first-class wizard apprentices were afraid to come, providing Harag with the perfect opportunity to gather sleeping mushrooms. Over 3 days, Harag gathered 170 sleeping mushrooms. In the following 2 days, Harag found fewer and fewer sleeping mushrooms, making it challenging to find any on the outskirts of the Moonlight Forest. Could it be I need to delve deeper into the Moonlight Forest? Harag pondered this issue. Harag was now quite a distance from the Moonlight Forest entrance, roughly needing half an hour to walk back there. Relying on Shenlong's detection, let's go a bit further, but not too deep. If anything feels wrong, we retreat immediately. After some thought, Harag decided to cautiously venture a bit deeper. The outskirts of the sleeping mushroom area were getting hard to find. He had to take a little risk and go in a bit deeper. The main dangers deeper within the Moonlight Forest stemmed from 2 sources: the various fierce magical beasts and bizarre plants, and a potential encounter with the wizards of Green Cottage. In the forest depths, the ground was covered with thick foliage. Harag felt the leaves were several centimeters deep as he stepped on them. With Shenlong's detection functionality, he didn't need to worry about pitfalls hidden beneath the leaves. Harag didn't dare to venture too far in. He just wandered around this area and managed to dig up 8 sleeping mushrooms in about an hour. There are indeed more here compared to the outskirts, but it's just a bit too quiet. Harag noticed that during his time here, there wasn't a sound around, exceedingly quiet, eerily so. Realizing the abnormality here, he immediately halted his steps. Harag carefully observed his surroundings. The details he noticed made him furrow his brow. Normally, there would be a slight breeze in the forest, causing leaves and vegetation to sway gently. But now everything, flowers, trees, grass, seemed like a frozen photograph. Harag began to retreat, but after a few steps, he realized he couldn't leave this place. The nearest tree was 10 meters behind him, and he kept walking toward it, but no matter how he proceeded, he couldn't get any closer. Harag stopped and tried to calm himself. He squatted down, noticing a plant reaching his waist. Harag gently touched it, and the entire plant quickly withered and collapsed into a pile of ash. Shenlong, during this time, did you detect any unusual magic power fluctuations? Harag was puzzled that he hadn't noticed anything peculiar, yet suddenly encountered this bizarre situation. No unusual magic power fluctuations detected, Shenlong replied. Shenlong, check if my mind is normal. See if I am in an illusion state. Shenlong immediately replied, everything is normal. Harag pondered that wandering around now wouldn't solve anything. Wandering aimlessly might lead him to an unknown space, akin to the Lost Mist. Wait, the Lost Mist. Harag thought of his starry sky meditation technique, which helped him orient himself and escape the Lost Mist previously. He entered a meditative state, beginning to sense the positions of the stars overhead. Moments later, Herag's expression turned a bit grave. Not only couldn't he sense his 4 stars, but he also noticed that the positions and numbers of stars in the sky had changed, completely different from before. This constellation, it's almost like appearing on a foreign planet. Herag felt a tricky situation. Normally, stars move regularly. It's impossible for the whole sky to look different overnight unless you're not on the original planet anymore. Herag took a deep breath and began contemplating a solution. At this time, he couldn't rush around recklessly to avoid triggering unknown taboos, turning into dust like that plant. Cough, cough. He heard faint, labored breathing, the sound very distant and small, but in this deathly silence, it seemed especially conspicuous. Soon, 3 people entered Shenlong's detection range. 3 men running desperately, looking quite distressed. The leading man wore an exquisite gold-trimmed wizard robe, and the other 2 wore ordinary wizard apprentice robes. Herag noticed all 3 robes bore the mark of a wooden house, representing them as wizards of Green Cottage. Shenlong assessed their power. After Herag gave the order, detailed data appeared above the heads of the 3 men for him to examine. Power 6.2, Agility 6.8, Constitution 7.0, Spirit 18.9. Power 3.7, Agility 2.9, Constitution 4.1, Spirit 9.5. Power 3.5, Agility 2.5, Constitution 3.5, Spirit 8.3. All 3 men's attributes surpassed Herag's, especially the leader, whose spiritual power was already at the standard of a 3rd-class wizard apprentice, with his other physical data also clearly at that standard. Herag had nowhere to retreat and could only hide in a dense shrub, but hiding would be meaningless in front of these 3. The bush's plants, like that single plant, would shrivel instantly into ash upon contact. Loon, sir, we've already entered the Moonlight Forest area. It's easy to encounter their people. The man with the lowest spiritual power gasped while running, reminded. Loon was the 3rd-class wizard apprentice, and with a look of terror at what was behind them, he angrily said to the person next to him, "What choice do we have? I'd rather die at the hands of the people in Moonlight Forest than at that monster behind us." The other person said, "Sir Loon is Sir Malcolm's own brother. They wouldn't dare to easily kill him in Moonlight Forest. By luring Shivara here, we could instead trap them once." "Idiot! There's no guarantee we'll escape. I had to use a precious, demonized item just to buy us some time." Loon sped up, quickly widening the gap with the 2 behind. The 2 looked at each other, realizing the severity of the situation. Loon's speed was much faster, so the monster behind would surely catch the 2 of them first. Realizing this problem, the 2 began sprinting, their faces flushed red, seemingly exerting all their strength. Malcolm's own brother. Hearing this name, Herag recalled the massacre of the Baron's entire family in the castle by Malcolm. He remembered Malcolm introducing himself then, saying he came from Green Cottage. What a coincidence! His own brother also has the power of a 3rd-class wizard apprentice. Herag felt somewhat overwhelmed. Loon's trio quickly ran towards Herag. Loon noticed Herag's presence immediately, but without sparing him a glance, kept running forward. They soon discovered the eerie aspect of this place, and Loon's expression drastically changed. "What's going on? Why can't we get through? Could it be the Moonlight Forest people have set some barrier here?" Someone beside him speculated. Loon glanced at Herag's hiding place, extended his hand, rapidly forming a fireball technique, and sent it flying toward Herag's location. "A shield. Mana shield. Dark energy shield." Having kept an eye on their movements, Herag prepared to flee as Loon turned. He instantly deployed 3 shields and activated the Wind Elf's ring to evade the fireball. The fireball exploded where he stood, incinerating countless plants into ash and stirring up a cloud of dust. Running quite fast, Loon snorted coldly. "What's happening here? Is this your doing?" Herag shrugged. "It's got nothing to do with me. I'm also figuring out how to get out. It's someone from the Moonlight Forest. It has to be his doing." The other 2 recognized the robe from the Moonlight Forest on Herag. Loon glanced at Harag. It shouldn't be him. A mere first-class wizard apprentice couldn't possibly know such high-level spatial magic. There's something strange about this place. He changed his tone. But since that's the case, keeping him is useless. Just kill him casually. Seeing the situation go south, Harag turned and ran. Trailing spells were thrown by the two behind him, but they were all blocked by the three thick shields. Why does this guy have so many shields? The two were dumbfounded watching Harag running far, not daring to pursue. After tentatively running a distance, Harag stopped, observing from the sideline woods. He didn't dare to run forward, as whatever was chasing those three must be even more terrifying. Loon, seeing the two were dawdling, got a bit angry and urged again, "Kill him first." His two followers, gritting their teeth, had no choice but to chase, spells ready in their hands. At that moment, both involuntarily shivered. Harag also felt a chilling presence creeping from behind. A deep fear arose within him. He turned to see a person lying on the ground, in an extremely strange pose, limbs twisted grotesquely. This person seemed to be crouching on the ground, but his head was twisted 180 degrees around, as if his neck had been twisted in a circle. Shivara. The term emerged in Harag's mind. It was mentioned by Loon and the others just recently. Shunlan. Search information on Shivara. Shivara, a demon from the Abyss Plane, extremely dangerous. Shunlan extracted a simple entry on Shivara from the database, offering just this one sentence without additional details. Harag recalled reading about this demon in a book, leaving only an impression as it supposedly existed only in rumors with few having witnessed it in person. How could something like this be in a moonlight forest? Harag pondered endlessly. He wanted to turn and run, but found his muscles very stiff. Magic flow turning obscure, unable to move, could only helplessly watch Shivara crawl slowly towards him. Shivara's long black hair dragged on the ground, resembling countless tentacles crawling. "Shunlan, make me move," Harag shouted inwardly, stimulating relevant muscle tissues. Harag felt a tingling sensation in his muscles and some joints, similar to being shocked. Moments later, his ability to move freely returned. Without hesitation, Harag turned and ran, dashing into the forest aside. Shivara still crawled leisurely on the ground, seemingly indifferent to Harag's escape. Loon and his two accomplices were still frozen in place, watching helplessly as Harag ran farther away, while Shivara drew closer, their eyes filled with despair. As Shivara crawled up to the trio, he halted, his hair continued forward, sliding into the trio's pants. The trio's expressions turned terrified, mouths agape to scream, yet nothing came out. Black hair emerged from their noses, ears, mouths, eyes, stained with fresh blood and red flesh. Through Loon and the other's skin, threads of hair could be seen rapidly passing, their skin slowly caving in as if hollowed out. The dense sound of chewing echoed from within the trio, reverberating in the silent moonlight forest, making Harag's scalp tingle just hearing it. He hadn't run far. More precisely, he couldn't escape far. Looking around, all was an unreachable edge, no means of escape. Through Shinlan's detection, Harag beheld the scene over there. Loon and the trio were reduced to skins before his eyes, leaving not even a trace of bone shards. After Shivara finished, the hair gradually retracted, leaving only 3 thin human skins behind. Shivara then turned and slowly crawled towards Harag. An indescribable malevolence enveloped Harag like a tidal wave. Harag found himself immobile again. No matter how Shinlan stimulated the muscle tissues, he couldn't regain control over his body, could only watch Shivara getting closer. Shinlan, control the magic power, activate the pocket watch, use holy healing technique. Now Harag couldn't control his own magic flow. Executing, Shinlan directed magic power into the pocket watch, manifesting a woman's phantom. White light enveloped Harag. Harag felt a warmth surging through his body, dispelling much of the malice clouding his mind. Yet he still couldn't control his body. Shivara paused for a moment. His dense hair halted on the ground, but only for a fleeting instant. Shivara resumed, crawling forward. The holy healing technique, apart from alleviating Harag's chill, had no effect on Shivara. Gritting his teeth, Harag's mind raced, contemplating how to survive this ordeal. Croak, croak, croak. An abrupt toad's croaking sounded. Shivara halted suddenly. Not far from Harag, a basketball-sized toad emerged from somewhere, croaking towards Harag. Harag felt the constraint on his body lessen slightly. Arduously turned his head, spotting this peculiar toad. He sensed his fingers heating up, glanced down, and saw the space ring Lillian gave him warming up. What's inside? Harag used magic power to probe, discovering a nearly forgotten item inside the space ring glowing. This is... Harag recalled that during their ship's stopover at Colombo Island, he and Lillian had spotted this hexagonal wooden disc while strolling outside. The disc had a hexagonal tower etched at its center, now emanating a faint yellow glow, seemingly floating out. Since buying this disc, Harag had studied it for a time, discovering no anomalies, subsequently storing it in the space ring and forgetting it as time passed. Now, with the disc exhibiting peculiar activity, Harag promptly retrieved it. Once out, the disc's yellow glow intensified. The toad croaked more fervently. Shivara slowly turned his head, white eyeballs swiveling to gaze at the wooden disc. Harag held the wooden tray, feeling all the coldness being dispelled from his body, and the operation of magic power no longer felt obscure. Ribbit, ribbit. The toad crawled over, and as it approached, a look of fear appeared on Shivara's face. The toad crawled to Harag's feet, looked up, and croaked to him. Harag didn't understand what it was trying to say, but he sensed that the toad seemed to have no malice toward him. The toad sniffed humanly, then turned to stare at Shivara. Shivara's black hair instantly stood on end, as if it had been electrocuted. Ribbit! With a croak, the toad began to crawl towards Shivara, who began to back away in terror. Shivara crawled backward at a surprisingly fast speed, no longer slow as before. The toad, however, moved forward leisurely, its eyes fixed on Shivara. The world around Harag suddenly turned black and white, with flowers, grass, and trees losing all color. At this moment, the toad, in a blink, had swallowed Shivara whole, with a bunch of black hair frantically trying to crawl out of its mouth. Cracks began to appear in the space around. Harag watched as everything around him developed cracks like broken glass. The toad turned back to look at Harag and croaked once more. A breeze passed by, and Harag smelled the scent of forest plants and heard the sound of insects in the nearby bushes. He looked around and found the grass and trees nearby had regained their color, no longer the black and white world. This place... Harag realized he was standing right where he had noticed the anomaly. He ran over to where Loon and the others had been devoured, finding no trace left on the ground, and the 3 human skins had disappeared. Such a pity. Loon probably had some good stuff on him. Harag had wanted to search Loon and the others' corpses. But then he thought being able to escape was already lucky enough. What's the point of searching for things? The strange toad, Shivara popping out of nowhere, and that eerie space. Harag was clueless about all these, filled with questions in his mind. He looked at the wooden tray in his hand, which had returned to its usual appearance, no longer emitting a faint yellow glow. This should depict the 6th ring tower, but what kind of existence is the 6th ring tower really? After entering Moonlight Forest, Harag had once searched the first floor of the library for related materials, but found no information about the 6th ring tower. He didn't know whether Moonlight Forest had no records or if the relevant materials were stored on higher levels in the library, inaccessible with his current permissions. Harag temporarily put aside these doubts in his mind and quickly fled Moonlight Forest. For a while, he wouldn't be returning here, primarily because the reason for Shivara's appearance wasn't clear. This was a demon from the Abyss Plane. How could it be mysteriously pursuing 3 wizards from Green Cottage? Moreover, Loon and the others died here, on Moonlight Forest territory. Wizards have many methods, and Green Cottage would likely know where these three vanished. At that time, Moonlight Forest wouldn't be able to explain what happened to these three, and it might be assumed Green Cottage was deliberately looking for trouble. But given Moonlight Forest's usual style, it likely wouldn't explain anything, causing considerable friction between the two sides. When that happens, Moonlight Forest, as the border area, would become quite unstable, and as a first-class wizard apprentice, he didn't need to get involved. Upon returning to Moonlight Forest, Harag first went to the transaction hall to exchange over 170 sleeping mushrooms for magic stones. Andrew was still at the window. He was quite surprised to see Harag producing so many sleeping mushrooms. However, the look in Andrew's eyes became more peculiar, as if he wanted to say something but never did. It wasn't until Harag left with 17 magic stones that Andrew muttered in the direction of the doorway. Could it be he killed them? Harag wandered around the town for a while and found a shop selling herbs. The owner was a middle-aged man with layers of cloth wrapped around his head, holding a basket of herbs at the door, seemingly trying to air them out in the good weather. "Owner, do you have white peony root, beetroot, golden bellflower, these herbs?" Harag asked as he stepped forward. The owner smiled. "You might as well ask for the raw materials of white sage, healing potion, 2 magic stones per set of raw materials." After chatting with the owner for a while, Harag discovered that some common magic potions generally had sets of raw materials for sale. There was no need to buy each herb separately. Raw materials for white sage healing potion cost 2 magic stones. The finished product's market price was 5 magic stones. If every set of raw materials could successfully be used to make potions, there would be a profit of 3 magic stones. The demand for white sage healing potion was high and easily sold. 5 magic stones were somewhat expensive for the average wizard apprentice, but they were necessary. White sage healing potion can heal most common injuries and is essential for wizards who frequently go out on missions. Since Harag couldn't go to Moonlight Forest anymore, he lost an important source of magic stones. In his current weak state, many missions were too dangerous for him. He had to consider other ways to earn magic stones. Harag considered the current situation comprehensively and thought that alchemy was a good way to earn magic stone. For others, unless they specialize in magic potion, the success rate of alchemy is very low. They wouldn't even consider earning money through alchemy, hoping not to lose money. But Harag had Shenlong assistance, which could significantly increase his success rate in alchemy. "Owner, I'd like 10 sets of white sage healing potion raw materials." Harag, who only had 22 magic stones, spent almost everything on the raw materials. The owner was somewhat surprised. 10 sets? All right. He could almost guess that Harag wanted to earn money through alchemy. He's encountered many such wizard apprentices, and usually they end up losing. But he wouldn't say it aloud. For him, making money was all that mattered. After buying the raw materials, Harag went to the flea market to buy some second-hand cauldrons, test tubes, beakers, balances, and other alchemical equipment. These things were cheap. Harag used a single gold coin to buy 2 sets of equipment. After returning home, Harag cleaned out a room specially for alchemy. He took out a yellow ear from his space ring, chanting a few syllables. The ear floated up, then started moving through the room in all directions. The ear had a powerful suction force in its eardrum, sucking all the dust and debris from the room. This was a common tool for wizards to clean rooms, called the clear ear. Nobody knows where things sucked into the clear ear end up. Once inside, they're never found again, so before using it, one needs to put away all useful items in the room. This room was originally empty. Harag just used clear ear to clean it up, as there was too much dust inside. Harag took out the purchased equipment one by one, then simply planned the room, arranging a section for herb handling, a section for potion brewing, and a section for reagent reaction. He rigorously followed the experiment regulations taught by Larry. This alone took him busy for 4 hours, and he eagerly took out the raw materials for the white sage healing potion, ready to start the alchemy. Shenlong, now start the refining of the white sage healing potion. Provide steps, temperature, time, and other related assistance tips. Magic Potion Refining Assistance activated. Shenlong had input the refining processes for every type of potion from the basic introduction to magic potions, combined with Larry's regulations, finally assembling them into a complete system for potion refining assistance. In Harag's view, there was a series of flowcharts, and Shenlong's current prompt was, first step, wash the white peony root, then soak in alkaline water for 30 minutes. Harag recalled the processes recorded in the book, then based on Shenlong's prompts, methodically started handling the potion materials. Golden bellflower juice temperature is approaching 75 degrees Celsius. Place in beaker in 30 seconds. White peony root juice and beetroot concentrate have reacted for 15 minutes. 1 minute remaining. Remember to take it out on time. Countdown 59 seconds. Harag held a test tube containing a milky solution. He gently swayed it in his hand while chanting a dozen strange syllables. A burst of magic power emanated from him into the test tube, and the solution inside started to emit white smoke, which eventually formed into the shape of a plant. White Sage Healing Potion has been successfully refined, Shenlong prompted. Harag breathed a sigh of relief. Potion refining was a bit harder than he imagined, requiring high concentration of spiritual power throughout the process. Any delay in the slightest step could lead to errors. This was merely the most basic White Sage Healing Potion, and it's conceivable how difficult the refining process for the Dawn Potion would be. Luckily, there's Shenlong assistance, allowing for very precise control over temperature and time. Harag fetched a special potion bottle, poured in the White Sage Healing Potion, and sealed it with a wooden plug, completing a basic potion. 2 magic stones in hand. Harag felt a bit of accomplishment. Continue. With 9 portions of potion materials remaining, Harag tidied up the laboratory according to standard procedures and proceeded with the next round of potion refining. Harag kept refining potions until midnight, not because he was tired, but because he needed to engage in his meditation practice. A total of 4 portions of White Sage Healing Potion were completed. One mistake was made that wasted a portion of materials, causing Harag to feel pain for half a day, losing 2 magic stones just like that. Harag sighed, brewed himself a cup of coffee, and started meditation practice. The 5th star was already nearing completion. Harag felt that tonight he should be able to complete the meditation for this star. He boiled a pot of meteor grass. The water boiling inside emitted green bubbles. This thing becomes useless after becoming a second-class wizard apprentice. The body develops resistance, but meditation speed also slows down. Harag had a love-hate relationship with meteor grass, a common potion material, here mainly used for stabilizing the spirit potion. A few hours later, when the sky was slightly lit, Harag opened his eyes, gazed deep, then let out a heavy breath. Harag Merlin. Power 2.5, Agility 2.4, Constitution 3.6, Spirit 8.5, Magic Power 100%. This meditation significantly improved his stats. Not only spiritual power but other bodily data also greatly enhanced. After breaking through a spiritual power of 8, Harag's sensitivity towards the free energy particles in nature increased greatly. He could even vaguely distinguish differences among some of the energy particles. Could these be energy particles of different attributes? Harag's perception was still a bit blurry, only able to guess based on some learned knowledge of elemental magic. Luckily, my aptitude is decent. Otherwise, who knows when I'd be able to complete meditation for these stars. Harag's aptitude was scored at 75 points, considered quite good among most wizard apprentices. Larry took great care of him largely because Harag's aptitude was deemed worth investing in. The level of aptitude affects the sensitivity towards the free energy particles in the universe. The sharper the sensitivity, the easier it is to perceive energy particles during meditation, and the absorption efficiency gets higher. The ultimate result is faster progress in meditation method practice and faster advancement. In Harag's mind, the array map lit up the 5th star, with positions for 5 more stars waiting to be lit. Shenlong, what happens when the entire array map lights up? Herag curiously asked. No data support available. Shenlong only optimized based on the principles of meditation method, but there was no historical data from anyone's practice, thus unable to know any changes that might occur. After completing his daily practice, Herag delved back into the laboratory, continuing the refining of white sage healing potions. This busy work lasted all day, and under the sparse moonlit sky, Herag looked at the 9 bottles of white sage healing potion before him with satisfaction. He made no more mistakes in the subsequent refining process. With increased spiritual power, his focus also improved significantly. 9 bottles of potion total 45 magic stones. Deducting costs, I can net 25 magic stones. Then I'll go buy raw materials again, refine them, and sell them. Herag calculated his money-making plan. At the time for meditation practice, Herag stored the white sage healing potions in the space ring and proceeded with his daily practice. He was only 1 star short of the spiritual power requirement for a second-class apprentice. Once he completes meditation for this star, he could prepare for the related raw materials for the dawn potion. Herag looked up, searching among the myriad stars for one to start meditating on. Why was the starry sky I saw that day so completely different? During meditation, Herag recalled the day he encountered Shivara. The sky he saw then was completely different from the one here. Shenlong, was data of that starry sky recorded? Herag asked. Based on visual records, the star map is as follows. Shenlong displayed a star map before Herag. Herag closely observed this star map, unable to find any resemblance to the starry sky overhead. Shenlong, compare it to the current starry sky. Search for any similar places. After comparison, no similarities were found. Whenever Herag had downtime, thinking back about that day's events fell off. He reviewed every detail before and after, unable to understand how he got trapped in that strange space or what kind of place it was. And that toad, before the space shattered, if I wasn't mistaken, it swallowed Shivara in one bite. Herag pondered these questions while meditating. In Moonlight Forest, there are 2 ways to purchase potions. One is to buy from the Moonlight Forest official magic pharmacy. The quality is very good, but the price is slightly higher than the market price. For example, White Sage Healing Potion, market price 5 magic stones. Magic Pharmacy sells it for 6 magic stones. The other way is to purchase from other wizards. Herag prepared to go to the flea market to sell White Sage Healing Potions. This is a common magic potion at the flea market and sells quite well. He planned to first sell the ones he had on hand to see how it goes, and if there were any issues, he would consider other options. Although the potions made by wizard apprentices can't compare to those officially sold by Moonlight Forest, they're generally quite effective and sufficient for their needs. The flea market is essentially a plaza. Herag was getting ready to find a spot to set up his stall when he encountered someone he knew. Leo, wearing glasses, was sitting on a small stool with a thick book in hand, surrounded by stacks of books in front of him. Leo, Herag greeted him. Leo turned his head and, upon seeing Herag, adjusted his glasses and smiled. Long time no see, Herag. Is there anyone next to you? I'm planning to set up a stall here. Herag asked. He saw that both sides of Leo were empty, with no one setting up stalls. No one. The stalls at the flea market are unclaimed. First come, first served, Leo explained. Hearing this, Herag felt relieved, took out 4 bottles of White Sage Healing Potion from his bag, and laid them out in front of him. He then took out a book, like Leo, to seize the time for learning. He was reading Basic Principles of Meditation. Herag had been learning a lot lately, and in such a short time, he certainly couldn't digest it all. He needed to spend more time delving into his studies. Shenlong could indeed allow him to progress faster, but it could also become a future hindrance to further advancement. The only thing I can always trust is myself. Even Shenlong is merely an external force. Seeing Herag take out 4 bottles of White Sage Healing Potion, Leo was surprised. Have you learned magic potion making already? I've barely managed to learn it, but practicing cost me dearly, so I'm forced to come out in exchange for some magic stones to cut my losses, Herag said with a gloomy face, as if he had lost a lot of magic stones. Leo nodded understandingly. For us wizard apprentices without much background, it's best not to dabble in magic potion making at first. It's too costly. Indeed, it's not something poor people can afford to play with. Once I sell off this batch of potions, I won't do it anymore, Harag lamented. He gave up on continuing to make white sage potions to earn magic stones. The small number of potions he had could be explained as many wizard apprentices, when first learning magic potion making, would concoct white sage healing potions to sell, which was quite normal. However, if Harag produced a large quantity of potions, it would be suspicious, as most people don't have a high success rate in potion making. If Harag brought out 20 bottles of white sage healing potion, it would generally require at least 60 sets of raw materials, which is no small amount. As a first-class wizard apprentice, where would he get so much money? It would only cause unnecessary trouble. Harag now hoped to minimize any trouble, and the money for the Dawn Potion could be gathered by doing other tasks. Is this the white sage healing potion? After a while, a customer arrived. It was a male wizard apprentice with red curly hair, looking around 20 years old. Harag replied, "Yes, it is. May I take a look?" Harag smiled. "Of course you can. When wizards trade potions, they usually inspect the quality, especially since they aren't officially sold by Moonlight Forest. Many novice wizard apprentices, even if they fail in potion making, will boldly sell their potions, often swindling those uninformed apprentices. Many people get scammed every year. It's a common occurrence. More experienced wizard apprentices will carefully check the quality before buying potions." The curly-haired wizard examined the white sage healing potion meticulously, checking its color, turbidity, and other aspects. After a moment, he said, "This potion is quite good. I'll take 2 bottles." "Deal." Harag handed over a bottle and received 10 magic stones. White Sage Healing Potion sold even better than Harag anticipated. The 4 bottles sold out quickly. Harag took out another 3 bottles, planning to keep 2 for himself. Leo widened his eyes at those 3 bottles of potion. "Did you spend that much money?" Sigh. Harag sighed. "Don't mention it. I still owe Mr. Larry quite a bit." Leo suddenly understood. As if something dawned on him, "I see. I envy you." Harag smiled without saying anything, not explaining further. Just a little leverage from Mr. Larry. Harag mentioned Mr. Larry only to create some ease for himself. After exchanging a few more words, they returned to their books. Business was a bit slow on Leo's side, with no customers for a long time. Harag's stall, however, had another customer soon after. This time, it was a tall woman wearing a black wizard apprentice robe. As she passed by, she took a glance at the white sage healing potions on Harag's stall, let out an exclamation, and squatted down to pick up a bottle for inspection. Harag estimated that the woman was about 1.8 meters tall, and squatting down, her long legs were quite prominent, giving the impression that everything below the neck was all legs. "Did you make this potion?" the woman asked. Harag nodded. "Yes, I did." "Just 3 bottles? Do you have more?" Harag laughed. "I don't have that many magic stones to buy materials, just these." "All right, you're pretty good at this. I'll take all 3 bottles." The woman promptly took out 15 magic stones and left. Harag watched her leave in a hurry. Couldn't resist taking another glance at those long legs partially hidden by the robe. 7 out of 9 bottles of white sage healing potion were sold, netting 35 magic stones. "Leo, I'm heading out," Harag called over to Leo, who was still engrossed in his book. Leo nodded stiffly, not taking his eyes off his book. Seeing him this way, Harag couldn't help but smile, thinking, despite Leo's hard work, he's still a first-class wizard apprentice. I wonder if it's due to a lack of resources or poor aptitude. On his way back, Harag observed other stalls. There were quite a few selling potions, and many of them sold white sage healing potions, but most of them were of average quality. Harag's white sage healing potion was milky white, slightly inferior to the pure white one sold by Moonlight Forest. This small gap was currently insurmountable for him, as it was due to the differences in spiritual power. The potions sold by Moonlight Forest were mostly made by capable third-class wizard apprentices or official wizards. Their magic power quality was beyond Herag's reach, and it required high-quality magic power to make the best potions. Those others sold white sage healing potions that were slightly yellowish, some even entirely yellow, bordering on unusable quality. This sight further convinced Herag that he couldn't rely on potion selling to make money, at least not until he had enough strength. After returning home, Herag took out a talisman stone, browsing for suitable tasks. He currently had a total of 37 magic stones, not even enough for one set of dawn potion materials. A task caught Herag's attention. Hunt the stone giant, reward for processing the stone giant's heart and familiarity with magic potions. 20 magic stones. The heart of the stone giant is an essential magic potion material for a second-class wizard apprentice to advance to a third-class wizard apprentice, and it's generally not available for purchase. Because keeping the stone giant heart active is necessary for magic potion making, it needs to be soaked in the potion to maintain its activity for 2 months. A second-class wizard apprentice must consume the potion within 2 months to advance to a third-class wizard apprentice. Therefore, the heart of the stone giant is typically sought out by second-class wizard apprentices after reaching their limit, followed by completing a series of processes including hunting, potion making, and advancement. Handling the heart of the stone giant is a case study in the course Basic Introduction to Magic Potions, where Herag used a model for several experiments during lab classes, a process he's already familiar with. He is also the only wizard apprentice in this batch of courses who successfully completed the stone giant heart experiment. Others did not succeed. Do first-class wizard apprentices need to fight when handling the stone giant's heart? Herag sent a message to the task issuer. The task issuer, named Bessie, seemed to be a woman. First-class wizard apprentice? Are you sure you can handle the stone giant's heart? Bessie asked. I attended Mr. Larry's magic potion course and am familiar with handling the stone giant's heart, Herag replied. Why don't you come to the Lion Cafe in town and let's talk face-to-face? Bessie decided to meet him. The Lion Cafe is located at the center of town, a place where many wizards choose to talk, exchange ideas, or relax. As Herag approached the Lion Cafe, he could smell the aroma of coffee wafting in the air. He pushed open the door and immediately saw a familiar face, the tall woman who bought 3 bottles of white sage healing potion from him. Herag, Bessie asked. Herag smiled. What a coincidence. Bessie was also surprised, laughing. I didn't expect it to be you. If those white sage healing potions were indeed crafted by you, then I have no doubt about your magic potion skills. Herag chuckled. I wouldn't dare deceive anyone in such matters. After all, once I leave the Moonlight Forest, I'm just a weak first-class wizard apprentice and can't afford a lie. The meaning was clear. Outside the Moonlight Forest, he would be unprotected. If he dared to deceive, they could easily deal with him. Rest assured, I'm not one to break the rules. Otherwise, who would dare cooperate with me in the future? Sit down. The others will arrive soon, Bessie explained. Herag nodded and sat down by the table, knowing that taking this task involved risks and everything out of the Moonlight Forest depended on his ability to adapt. But what task doesn't involve risk? Even picking mushrooms can lead to so many problems, Herag sighed internally. The two chatted willingly and unconsciously about topics related to magic potions. Herag knew a lot about these topics, as Shunlan's database stored a wealth of information. Whatever question Bessie raised, Herag could immediately respond and expand into many subjects. Truly knowledgeable, Mr. Herag. Bessie was genuinely surprised at how knowledgeable a first-class wizard apprentice could be, and it indeed astonished her. Soon after, 2 other people Bessie had arranged arrived. One named Rock Dean, a third-class wizard apprentice, wore a heavy spectacle frame and entered with a scrutinizing glance at Herag. The other, named Emma Marcy, was a freckled-faced woman who seemed to have a close relationship with Bessie as they hugged upon meeting. After the group sat down and introduced themselves to each other, Bessie said, Everyone's here. Let's discuss the plan. Departure time is 2 days later. I'll prepare everything needed. Herag will handle the stone giant's heart. He won't participate in the combat. After Bessie finished, Rock spoke. I have a question. Why bring a first-class wizard apprentice to handle the stone giant's heart? Though Herag is only a first-class wizard apprentice, his expertise in magic potions is high, so I'm assured of his capability, Bessie explained. Rock sipped his coffee. If you think that's fine, then so be it. Rock's job was to deal with the stone giant, regardless of whether the heart would be handled successfully or not. The stone giant generally requires third-class wizard apprentices to manage. Bessie invited 2 third-class wizard apprentices this time, which made success almost certain. Herag was too weak to directly engage in combat, avoiding being affected by the fighting. If Herag were injured or killed due to combat, handling the stone giant's heart would fall to the 3 of them, who weren't proficient in magic potions. Magic potions require a lot of financial resources and supplies. Most wizard apprentices struggle to gain substantial experience without ample accumulation. After confirming the specifics, they left the cafe, with Herag returning home to begin preparing the potion needed to soak the stone giant's heart. Florobworm slime, hawklap juice, lionfish's stinger. After counting the necessary magic potion materials, Herag began crafting the potion called Broad Spectrum Potion. He placed Florobworm slime into a beaker, then ignited the lionfish's stinger, placing it into the beaker, and then infused magic power while chanting several syllables. Thick white mist rose continuously from the beaker, filling the room shortly thereafter. Herag wore protective goggles, ignoring the surrounding white mist, focusing heavily on the beaker. Reaction countdown of 9 seconds. Shenlong provided the countdown to the reaction time. As soon as the time ended, Herag immediately poured a pink powder into the beaker, which was ground from a fruit known as scarlet grass. 2 hours later, it's done. A round crystal bottle in front of Herag contained a purple solution that occasionally bubbled on the surface with a soft popping sound. He sealed the bottle with an oak-made stopper, having successfully crafted the broad-spectrum potion. At night, the 6th star in Herag's mind already had a basic shape, and he expected to complete meditation and fulfill advancement conditions to become a second-class wizard apprentice within 2 months. Luckily, the ingredient for the Dawn Potion can be bought in the forest, avoiding the huge risk of hunting to acquire materials. Herag was already preparing the Dawn Potion-related materials, needing only the main demon flower root, which was currently unaffordable, but completing this task would allow him to complete the necessary materials for a Dawn Potion. 2 days later, Herag met with the group at an inn in the northern forest region. The route they would take this time was not heading toward the Moonlight Forest, but towards the east. Upon arrival, Herag noticed that the inn's atmosphere was different from usual, with an official wizard and several third-class wizard apprentices stationed there, enhancing the security forces. Was it because of what happened that day? Herag thought of the incident where Loon was killed by Shavara. After Hellfoot arrived at the station, Herag and the others boarded the wagon one after another. They first needed to ride Hellfoot to the Red Mountain Range, which marked the eastern border of the Moonlight Forest. Beyond that point, they would be outside the domain of the Moonlight Forest. Herag got off the wagon, and at a glance, he saw the continuous red mountains ahead. The rocks here were relatively soft and presented a bright red color. Many maple trees grew in the mountains, turning the scenery into a fiery red world in autumn. After arriving at the Red Mountain Range station, Hellfoot walked to a trough nearby to eat fresh grass, and then drank water in large gulps. Once it was full, it stood still, looking at Herag and the others, stamping its hooves a few times. Bessie patted Hellfoot's head and said, "You can go back now, little one. We won't be taking the wagon." Hellfoot seemed to understand, pulling the wagon back by itself. At the Hellfoot station, there was an ordinary wagon, and the driver was a robust young man who had been waiting here early according to Bessie's arrangements. "Get on the wagon. Let's aim to reach Rivertown tonight, so we don't have to camp in the wild," Bessie said, lifting the curtain and getting in first. Herag followed closely behind. The interior of the wagon was quite spacious, with soft cushions on the seats, making it very comfortable to sit. Bessie's long legs were somewhat cramped in the wagon, requiring her to occasionally adjust her leg position to make herself more comfortable. Emma and Bessie had a close relationship and chatted about various trivial matters after boarding, such as which third-class wizard apprentice had to sleep with whom for promotion or who was having an affair with whom. Neither Harag nor Rock spoke. After getting on the wagon, Rock kept his eyes closed, seemingly meditating. Harag opened the curtain of the window, fixed it with a hook, and gazed at the scenery outside. This was his first time leaving the moonlight forest. Outside the wagon, it was a continuous stretch of maple woods, initially with no signs of any human activity. The wagon ran for about 2 hours, eventually revealing some people logging in the woods, and occasionally some wooden houses appeared, presumably resting places for the nearby lumberjacks and hunters. After another half an hour, the maple woods gradually faded behind them, and the scenery outside included more diverse landscapes. They were headed to the Thousand Needle Stone Forest to search for the stone giant, a journey expected to take 3 days, with Rivertown being their first stop. Harag closed the curtain and also began to meditate, and about 5 hours later, the wagon's speed gradually slowed down. "We're here." The driver opened the curtain, respectfully notifying the wizard apprentices inside the wagon. After getting off, Harag found himself in what appeared to be a peaceful little town. The sky had already darkened, and there were few people moving around the town, making it seem especially tranquil. Next to Rivertown, a wide river flowed through, the sound of the water murmuring. River Inn. Harag followed Bessie and the others to an inn, where 2 lanterns hung at the entrance, emitting a pale yellow glow. "The rooms I prepared for you are upstairs. Tonight, you're the only guest staying there," said the driver, who turned out to be the innkeeper, eagerly leading the way. The inn's first-floor hall had many tables set up. This was where travelers ate and drank. For tables were occupied, with a mix of local residents and adventurers with swords by their side. The moment Harag and the others walked into the inn, they attracted attention, and upon seeing the robes they wore, people's expressions became extremely alarmed and fearful. They glanced quickly and then lowered their heads, not daring to look again, rendering the entire inn extremely quiet. Harag indeed noticed a big bearded man trying hard to control his breathing, seemingly afraid to breathe loudly. "They seem quite afraid of us," Harag said after going upstairs. Bessie turned back. "That's normal. This area is quite close to the wizard organization. So many people are aware of wizards' existence. As we go further out, people in those places will generally not know about wizards." After a while, when they went downstairs to eat, they found that the first-floor hall was empty. Harag asked, "Where are they?" The driver bowed, smiling. "They've all left. Even those who had rooms have checked out, afraid of disturbing the rest of you." 2 days later, Harag and the others arrived at the Thousand Needle Stone Forest on horseback. The landform here was very peculiar, consisting of a sunken valley. The valley contained countless tall stone pillars, each several hundred meters high. Vegetation was scarce in the Thousand Needle Stone Forest, mostly bare yellow earth. A slight breeze could stir up clouds of dust within the stone forest. Rock walked to the front, warning those behind, "Be cautious once we enter. This is a completely neutral area, and we might encounter people from any wizard organization. If we run into people from Green Cottage, we must be particularly careful." Harag was fully attentive to Shinlan's environmental monitoring, and there seemed to be no unusual movements for the time being. Rock held an hourglass in his hand, adjusting their direction after covering a certain distance, continuing to move forward if the hourglass flipped automatically. The Thousand Needle Stone Forest was vast, and its similar terrain made it easy to get lost. The stone giant typically hid deep within the forest, sometimes even burying itself in the ground. Rock's hourglass seemed capable of locating the stone giant, leading the group through the stone forest by constantly adjusting their direction. Although Harag could use Shinlan to help search for the stone giant's location, it was a personal secret he naturally wouldn't disclose. In his mind, the map of the Thousand Needle Stone Forest was gradually being completed, with a red line clearly marking their path from the moment they entered the forest until now. An hour later, Rock suddenly stopped, and the hourglass in his hand began to turn rapidly, flipping over furiously. "We found it. It's nearby. Be cautious." He put away the hourglass and closed his eyes. Herag could sense a surge of magic power emanating from Rock's body, quickly sweeping over the surroundings. It seems to be magical perception, and quite a large range, Herag estimated. Rock's magical perception was probably about 70 to 80 meters. Once Rock activated magical perception, the group slowed their forward progress. Soon, Herag noticed a colossal figure hidden behind a stone column about 200 meters ahead, seemingly hibernating underground. Stone Giant. Having discovered the Stone Giant, Herag didn't speak up. He continued to move silently, ready to retreat at any moment. Rock's magical perception range was still slightly short of sensing the Stone Giant's exact location. A moment later, Rock stopped with a serious expression, pointing to a stone column ahead. "It's behind that stone column, buried underground. Herag, find a place to hide. You can come over once we've settled this." "Stay safe," Bessie advised. Herag nodded. "Okay, you go ahead." Herag found a concealed place to hide based on the surrounding terrain feedback from Shenlong, while simultaneously observing Bessie's situation through Shenlong. Rock walked at the forefront, stopping when he was still 40 to 50 meters away from where the Stone Giant was sleeping. He pointed ahead, quickly reciting the syllables of the spell, and then said, "Wake up, big guy, stone spike technique." A muffled rumbling sound came from the Stone Giant's resting place, and a humanoid creature, seemingly composed of numerous large stones, catapulted from the underground. A massive stone column was beneath the Stone Giant, appearing as if the Stone Giant had been propped up by the column. "Roar!" The Stone Giant let out a deep growl, stared at Rock for a moment, then charged at him. Quicksand trap. Rock, unhurried, used another spell. The area where the Stone Giant stood transformed entirely into quicksand, and due to its weight, it quickly sank into the quicksand, with only a third of its body remaining above the surface. Emma then made her move, tossing a bottle of black potion onto the Stone Giant. Upon breaking, the black liquid spread out. High-tier corrosion technique. After Emma chanted a few incantations, the black potion suddenly expanded, enveloping the entire Stone Giant. The Stone Giant emitted cries of agony as the stones on its body were rapidly corroded, soon revealing some blood-red muscle tissue underneath. Herag was not surprised by this scene. He knew that the Stone Giant's surface was stone, but its interior still had organs and muscle tissue. The Stone Giant was immobilized in the quicksand, its entire body covered with corrosive potion, continuously howling until its voice grew faint. Seeing it was almost done, Rock said to Bessie, "Go call Herag over." Bessie breathed a sigh of relief. They had rehearsed the plan many times before coming, and so far, everything was going smoothly. After Herag came over with Bessie, Rock waved his hand, "Rock spike." A few mud-yellow spikes rapidly formed in front of him and shot towards the Stone Giant, stabbing its neck and other vital parts, avoiding the heart. The Stone Giant's body convulsed continuously after being hit by the spikes, and after a while, its head drooped powerlessly. "That's it. Hurry up and extract the heart," Rock said as he lifted the effect of the quicksand trap, and the ground returned to its hard, muddy appearance. "Shenlong, is the Stone Giant dead?" Herag didn't rush over. He first inquired with Shenlong. "The Stone Giant shows no signs of life," Shenlong replied. Only then did Herag approach the Stone Giant's corpse with ease. He took out a set of special dissection tools from his space ring. He first sliced open the stone shell at the Stone Giant's heart area, revealing the blood-red heart inside. The difficulty in harvesting the Stone Giant's heart lies in the 17 blood vessels surrounding it. They must be cut in a specific order, with each cut followed by sealing the vessel opening with pre-made magic potion mud. The entire process must be completed within a minute, which is very challenging and requires precise skill. Any mistake is unacceptable. With Shenlong's assistance, Herag performed each step with pinpoint accuracy, making this task fairly easy for him. A minute later, Herag held a faintly pulsing blood-red heart in his hands. He placed it into a crystal jar, then poured the prepared broad-spectrum potion into it, sealed the jar's lid, and thus completed the processing of the stone giant's heart. In the crystal jar, the stone giant's heart, soaked in the magic potion, pulsed gently, able to maintain its vitality for 2 months. All done. Herag handed the crystal jar to Bessie. With the completion of the mission, Bessie felt her burden lifted. She placed the jar into her space ring and then took out a bag of magic stones. Herag, this is your payment. Herag accepted it, and Shenlong quickly scanned through to confirm that there were indeed 20 magic stones. Let's hurry back. Now in possession of the stone giant's heart, Bessie grew anxious again, eager to return to Moonlight Forest to commission someone to concoct the potion and advance. Rock once again took out the hourglass and began walking back. Every location in the Thousand Needle Stone Forest looked similar, making it easy to get lost without special methods. Herag trailed behind, observing the map in his mind without speaking. Even when Rock went off course several times, he didn't point it out because the hourglass in Rock's hand would eventually indicate the deviation. After walking for half an hour, Herag suddenly slowed his pace. According to Shenlong's feedback, there were people hiding behind 2 stone pillars up ahead, a total of 3, each exuding a strong magical source. Herag couldn't call out a warning, so he merely slowed his steps, ready to bolt at a moment's notice. Rock had his magic sense activated and would soon discover the hidden enemies ahead. Soon enough, Rock indeed stopped, and then suddenly stepped on a rock and swiftly retreated. Not only him, but Herag, Bessie, and Emma also rapidly retreated. A rain of fire immediately fell on the spot they had just occupied. Rock glanced at Herag, slightly surprised that he had sensed and dodged it. Herag kept an eye on the movements of the 3 individuals, and as one of them silently cast a spell at them, Herag used the Wind Elf's blessing to accelerate his retreat immediately. What luck! I never thought we'd actually encounter people from Moonlight Forest here. Lord Malcolm did say that there's a reward for killing people from Moonlight Forest. Killing a first-class wizard apprentice earns 5 magic stones. Killing a second-class wizard apprentice earns 20 magic stones, and killing a third-class wizard apprentice earns 50 magic stones. A man with a face mask said as he emerged from behind a stone pillar, followed by the other 2. Shenlong, assess the strength of these 3, Herag ordered. Power 5.8, Agility 6.5, Constitution 6.8, Spirit 17.2. Power 5.1. Agility 6.8, Constitution 7.0, Spirit 18.6. Power 6.2, Agility 5.0, Constitution 6.7, Spirit 17.8. 3 third-class wizard apprentices. Herag, seeing Shenlong's results, felt the situation was a bit dire. On their side, there were only 2 third-class wizard apprentices, 1 second-class wizard apprentice, and 1 first-class wizard apprentice. The combat power difference was glaring. More critically, Rock and Emma might have the ability to protect themselves. If things went south, they could escape, but Herag was unsure if he could run away safely. Without hesitation, Herag decided to retreat. With Shenlong mapping the way, he had no concerns about getting lost. Bessie, noticing Herag's immediate retreat, didn't comment. It was a wise decision anyway, as Herag's presence wouldn't have added much combat value. The 3 adversaries didn't mind Herag's departure. A first-class wizard apprentice wasn't worth much. What mattered were the 2 third-class wizard apprentices in front of them. They were the true prizes. After Herag ran a distance, he could no longer sense any commotion from that side and began to take a detour towards the exit. More than 40 minutes later, Herag reached the exit, and he encountered no one else along the way. The 4 horses at the exit were still there, and in addition, there was also a carriage, which Herag estimated belonged to the 3 third-class wizard apprentices. After mounting his horse, Herag began galloping madly, preparing to rush all the way back to the Moonlight Forest. From what those 3 said, Malcolm must have discovered that Loon died in the Moonlight Forest and blamed it on Moonlight Forest, even offering a bounty. He took off his robe, and changed into casual clothes. Harag kicked the horse's belly, making it run even faster. More than an hour later, Harag felt a bit relieved, seeing no pursuers behind him. Suddenly, ahead, he heard the sounds of swords clashing, along with cries and shouts of killing. As Harag rode closer, he saw a group of bandits attacking a caravan. The bandits numbered about 30, including crossbowmen. The caravan had only a little over 10 people, desperately holding on, using the carriage as a fortification. Dead bodies lay all around. Come on, brothers, they're about to break. These are nobles. They must have good stuff. The bandit leader, a man with a long scar across his face, was standing on the outside, directing the attack. The strongest in the caravan was a knight-level fighter in his 40s or 50s, guarding a gap in the middle of the carriage, holding a giant shield to fend off the bandits' attack. Harag just took a glance and continued on his way, not wanting to involve himself in unnecessary trouble. Riding past, the scar-faced man noticed him and spotted the 2 rings on Harag's hand at a glance, his eyes lighting up, saying, "Block him. That man has good stuff on him." 7 or 8 arrows sailed towards Harag, aiming to shoot him down. Harag had already received Shinlan's warning and ducked down to dodge the incoming arrows. This guy's got some skills. Shoot his horse. The bandit leader continued commanding. Several arrows quickly embedded into the horse's rump and belly, causing the horse to wail and fall to the ground. Harag tumbled off, his eyes coldly fixed on the bandits. "Ha! Good shot, kill him." The bandit leader laughed, immediately directing 7 or 8 men to charge at Harag. At the same time, some crossbowmen started aiming at Harag, shooting arrows at him. Shield. Mana shield. Dark energy shield." The arrows bounced off the thick shields and fell to the ground, completely failing to harm Harag. The bandit leader's smile froze on his face when he saw the strange shields on Harag, raising a bad feeling in his heart. Clang! Harag drew his brilliant longsword and charged at the bandits. Arrows still kept coming, but without exception, all were deflected. Harag's physique now was at a knight level, and with a few strides, he was upon the bandits, severing a head with a single swing of his sword. The blades and arrows of these bandits were useless against Harag, unable to breach even the most basic defense. In the blink of an eye, Harag killed one with each step, taking down all 8 charging bandits, leaving a bloodied path. A monster! The bandits were terrified at the sight, becoming panic-stricken as they had never seen such shields like those on Harag, beyond their understanding. The bandits began to flee, even abandoning the caravan they had been assaulting. The bandit leader ran the fastest, silently mounting a horse and starting to gallop away. Harag fixed his gaze on him, swiftly forming a corrosive arrow in hand, shooting it straight toward the bandit leader. Swoosh! The corrosive arrow pierced through the bandit leader's neck, knocking him off his horse. The bandit leader's neck had a terrifying, bloody hole, with black edges from corrosive energy. The bandits, having lost their leader, scattered and fled in all directions. Harag couldn't be bothered to chase them, as pursuing would only waste his travel time. He looked back at his horse, which was barely alive on the ground, and then headed towards the caravan. "Thank you, Mystic, for your help. The Allison family will forever remember your grace." The middle-aged knight knelt on one knee to thank him as Harag approached. "Hello, my name is Uffie Ellison." A noble young girl, dressed luxuriously, stepped off the carriage behind, her face delicate, legs wrapped in white stockings. Harag gave her an indifferent glance, but said nothing and turned to ask the middle-aged knight, "Can I buy a horse?" "Buy a horse?" The middle-aged knight was a bit taken aback, then quickly said, "Of course, you need not buy it. Just take whichever horse you fancy and ride away." Harag nodded, chose a strong black horse, mounted it, tossed 2 gold coins on the ground, and rode off. Uffie helped the middle-aged knight up, saying, "Uncle Shanny, I think he is the knight I've been looking for." Knight Shanny sighed helplessly. "Miss Uffie, that gentleman just now is no knight, but a legendary wizard. Don't provoke him." "But all the knight novels say so. The knight always appears when the princess is in danger, rescues her, and they live happily ever after. Uffie held a novel titled The Knight and the Rose in her hand. Shani knew his young lady was recently infatuated with knight novels and said, "Miss Uffie, we should get back in the carriage and head home while the bandits are scared off. We must treasure these 2 gold coins." Shani carefully picked up the 2 gold coins Harag had left, wiped off the dust, and put them in his pocket. For Harag, it was just a minor incident on his journey, and what annoyed him was the delay caused by the damned bandits. Harag made no stops along the way, only camping at night to rest briefly and let his horse graze and drink water. 3 days later, Harag arrived at the Red Mountain Range station. He sensed a tense atmosphere as soon as he arrived, noting that a formal wizard and 3 third-class wizard apprentices were stationed there. "No one was stationed here when I left." Harag found it a bit odd. "Show me your talisman stone." A chubby third-class wizard apprentice came over to verify his identity. Harag honestly handed over the talisman stone. The chubby wizard checked it and, finding no issues, returned it to Harag. Then he took out something resembling a bamboo section and said, "This is the faceless bamboo section. Take it and suck on it once with your mouth." Harag did as instructed, and smoke puffed out of his ears, nose, and mouth, dissipating quickly. The fat wizard nodded. No problem. You can go now." "Did something happen?" Harag asked curiously. "Recently, the Green Cottage launched multiple attacks on us. To ensure safety, all wizards entering the forest must undergo identity checks," the fat wizard explained. "Is the situation this serious?" Harag felt that only a few days had passed, yet the situation had become more complex than he imagined. After putting away the faceless bamboo section, the fat wizard said, "You don't need to worry too much. Just try not to leave the forest during this period. It's still safe inside. Even if you need to go out, don't go alone. Your duty at the post station must also be quite risky." Harag felt that the defensive power at the post station was still somewhat lacking. The fat wizard smiled bitterly. "There's no choice. The tasks assigned by the forest must be carried out. There's no escaping them. In dangerous encounters, at least the official wizards can retreat unharmed, but it's much harder for those of us who are wizard apprentices. If the Green Cottage wanted to attack a post station, they certainly wouldn't just send a few wizard apprentices. Are there any mandatory tasks?" Harag asked. "Of course. As long as there is an emergency, everyone might be mobilized. You're just a first-class wizard apprentice. Your power isn't enough yet, so there's no task for you at the moment. Once your power increases, you'll be assigned tasks too," the fat wizard explained. After chatting for a while, the Hellfoot arrived. After boarding, Harag took out his talisman stone and started browsing Gossip Tavern. And sure enough, he saw many discussions about the Green Cottage attacks. 3 first-class wizard apprentices picking sleeping mushrooms in the Moonlight Forest were killed. I saw the scene. Their bodies were hung on trees. The people from Green Cottage are too arrogant. Calculating over the past few days, there have been over 20 casualties. Why are the people from Green Cottage suddenly gone mad? It said they have a bounty. Killing one of our third-class wizard apprentices is worth 50 magic stones. Am I worth that much? I almost want to kill myself to claim the bounty." Harag continued to browse other posts. Many wizard apprentices who went out on missions had encountered attacks from the Green Cottage. It seems we're not an isolated case. They must have some source of intelligence, an insider. Harag realized that the Green Cottage must have some special means of obtaining internal intelligence from the Moonlight Forest. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible for so many wizard apprentices on missions to encounter danger. He glanced at Bessie's chat box, but there was still no message. After Harag escaped, he sent a message to Bessie asking about their situation, but still no reply after 3 days. He had a vague sense of unease and wondered if Bessie's group could escape. 3 days later, while meditating, Harag suddenly opened his eyes. His talisman stone flashed. He opened it to see a message from Bessie. "Emma is dead." Seeing the message from Bessie, Harag thought the 3 of them were safe, but unexpectedly, the third-class wizard apprentice Emma had died. "Emma didn't manage to escape to save me." Bessie quickly sent another message. Bessie had a good relationship with Emma, and Herag could imagine how sad she must be. After all, it's extremely difficult for wizards to have a friend. Herag, can you take me to see Mr. Larry? I want to commission him to help me concoct the dawn and dusk potion. I must become a third-class wizard apprentice. I must become a wizard. Bessie continued. No problem. I can take you there tomorrow. Herag had already arranged to meet Larry to discuss some precautions about the dawn potion the next day. Thank you, Herag. Bessie sent this message and then said no more. Herag then opened Larry's chat box, explained the situation, and Larry readily agreed. After all, business was coming to his door, and there was no reason to turn it away. Shenlong, calculate how much longer it will take to complete the last star of meditation. Recent events had made Herag increasingly anxious, eager to enhance his power, as only with power could he control his own destiny. Estimated to take another 35 days. 35 days. Herag murmured this time as he entered meditation. The next day, Herag met with Bessie at the Lion Cafe, where Rock was also present. They were still at the same table, but 4 people had become 3. My condolences. Herag saw that Bessie's eyes were still red. I'll also offer my condolences to those people. Bessie's eyes glinted with ferocity, filled with murderous intent. Bessie, you shouldn't rush into revenge. Herag noticed her unstable state and tried to advise her. Bessie calmed down and said, I understand. Rock spoke up. It's my fault. I couldn't protect her. Bessie shook her head. No, you did your best. If it weren't for you and for that place in the 1,000-needle-stone forest full of earth elements, we might have all been unable to escape. Rock, you've done enough. Let's go, Herag. Bessie stood up and said. Herag brought her to Larry, who surprisingly came to the door to welcome them himself. I heard about Miss Emma. It's truly regrettable. I still remember her youthful and lively demeanor in my classes, Larry said with deep regret. Thank you, Mr. Larry, for remembering her. Bessie's mood again sank a bit. Back to business. The commission fee for the Dawn and Dusk potion is 100 magic stones. Miss Bessie should be aware of this, right? Larry said, pouring coffee for both of them. I have it already. Bessie appeared unfazed by the cost. 100 magic stones. Herag thought to himself. The magic potion crafting business is truly lucrative, a career with high upfront investment and returns. Larry leaned against the table and looked down at Bessie, saying, One more thing I must emphasize to Miss Bessie. The promotion should only begin once your spirit and emotions have completely stabilized. Otherwise, recklessly drinking the potion to advance can have terrifying consequences. Thank you, Mr. Larry, for the warning. I understand. Bessie nodded. All right, you only have 1 set of magic potion materials. To ensure everything goes smoothly, I'll prepare extra time. Usually, you need 2 sets of materials, but let's skip that this time. In about 7 days, I will start the preparation. The Dawn and Dusk potion, once crafted, will be effective for a month. Miss Bessie will need to consume it and complete the advancement within that month, Larry explained. Thank you for your efforts, Mr. Larry. Bessie bowed. Larry smiled. Wish me luck, and I also wish you success. After Bessie left, Herag stayed to inquire about details regarding the Dawn potion. Larry answered each question without reservation, offering some insights from his own experiences. He had high hopes for Herag, especially in the field of magic potion, as Herag always managed to grasp every detail excellently, to Larry's great satisfaction. A month later, Herag lay on the bed, the 6th star in his mind about to solidify and sparkle. Just before sunrise, Herag opened his eyes. Shenlong, check the current state of the body. Herag Merlin, power 2.8, agility 2.9, constitution 4.0, spirit 10.5, magic power 100%. The data in all aspects has reached the genetic limit. Herag looked at the data, silently contemplating 10.5 spiritual power, already surpassing the advancement requirements of most second-class wizard apprentices. Is it because of the starry sky meditation technique? Generally, a first-class wizard apprentice's spiritual power tops out at 8 or 9 at most. To increase further, one must advance to a second-class wizard apprentice. Harag had not yet advanced, but already had a spiritual power of 10.5. If word got out, people might slice him up for research. The body's data had also seen significant improvement, but it had already reached genetic limits. Harag did not rush to advance, but spent 5 days stabilizing his spiritual power, striving to keep his physical state steady. Next is alchemy. Harag prepared 2 sets of materials, and 1 extra set was borrowed from Larry. If he succeeded on the first try, he could return the borrowed materials. Harag heard that advancing to an official wizard requires multiple magic potions, drinking another if the first one isn't enough. Failure to advance means death. The advancement from a first-class wizard apprentice isn't as difficult or dangerous, requiring only 1 magic potion. Demon flower root, ancient tree sap, 30 grams of obsidian, Saturn dust. In his laboratory, Harag counted the magic potion materials. The main challenge of the Dawn Potion lay in handling the demon flower root and maintaining the activity of the ancient tree sap. The ancient tree sap must be kept at a constant temperature of 83 degrees in a beaker, not a degree higher or lower, with constant monitoring. The root of the demon flower is highly toxic and must be handled carefully, filtering out all toxins, as it's the main component of the Dawn Potion's efficacy. The Dawn Potion is essentially a poison. An ordinary person would drop dead immediately after drinking it, and a first-class wizard apprentice with insufficient spiritual power would find it hard to survive. Harag took out a black sunflower-like plant from his space ring. Unlike a sunflower, the original head had turned into a human face. From the features, it was a woman's face with tightly closed eyes and cute, sharp tiger fangs at the corners of her mouth. Rather cute. Harag didn't understand why the word cute crossed his mind. Suddenly, the woman opened her eyes, looking at Harag with a bewitching expression. Dark energy shield. I almost forgot. Damn, nearly messed up the first step. Harag was filled with dread. The demon flower has an enchanting effect and absorbs emotional energy from animals. If the demon flower absorbed emotions, its venom would mix with impurities, rendering the magic potion materials useless. The dark energy shield provides a certain defense against spells involving dark attribute energy, easily blocking the minor magic of the demon flower. Harag took a pair of scissors, placing them at the junction of the demon flower's head and root. The Dawn Potion required only the root, and the head could be kept for other magic potions in the future. Shenlan, block hearing. Harag preemptively issued the command as a precaution. The next moment, the demon flower sensed the cold scissors below, showing a human-like expression of terror. Harag exerted force, swiftly severing the head, while sealing the cut with magic power to prevent the sap inside from splattering. Oh! The demon flower opened its mouth and began to scream, but the dark energy within it was blocked by the dark energy shield, rendering its sonic attack ineffective against Harag. Given his current physique, this level of intensity was insufficient to harm his eardrums, as it was only a harvested magic potion material. After about a minute of screaming, the demon flower's expression weakened, looking tired, and soon closed its eyes. Harag soaked it in a pre-prepared glass jar, then stored it in the space ring, as it might come in handy later. The next step was pivotal and challenging. Harag placed the root of the demon flower sealed with magic power into a large beaker, then infused magic power to control the toxins inside, squeezing them out with magic power. This process required extreme care. A slight mistake in breaking the internal structure of the root would render the subsequent experiment unnecessary. The black-purple toxins slowly dripped into the large beaker, the lab silent except for the drip-drip sound of water, with time passing slowly. Harag took 8 hours to complete the preparation of the Dawn Potion, sealing the test tube with an oak stopper containing a light purple solution. Phew, exhausted. Harag finally breathed a sigh of relief, wiping the sweat from his forehead. Remaining magic power, 11%. Apart from numerous details to pay attention to, the alchemy of the Dawn Potion also consumed considerable magic power. With both physical and mental exhaustion, Herag was extremely fatigued at this moment. Luckily, it succeeded. I don't want to go through it again. That tightrope walking like tension where nothing could go wrong covered his mind. Just recalling it made Herag break out in a cold sweat. The current spiritual power is still too much pressure for completing this potion. No wonder Mr. Larry insisted on lending a set to me, apparently doubting I could succeed on the first try. Shenlong could only run simulations and calculations for each step and the timing of the next step, but every action needed his execution. The normal human brain couldn't manage such high-precision, high-intensity tasks. Only wizards, with spiritual strength far exceeding ordinary people, enough focus and stamina, could accomplish it. After completing everything, Herag went downstairs to shower, still meditating while soaking in the bathtub. Although his spiritual power had reached its limit, it was already a formed habit, plus meditation could speed magic power recovery. In his mind, 6 stars connected, and the array map had only 4 positions left to illuminate. The advancement of a second-class wizard apprentice to third class requires 10 stars, matching the array map's number exactly. Maybe there's a link between them. Herag lay in the bathtub, the meditation making him oblivious to the passage of time, even the cooling bathwater unnoticed. Remaining magic power, 100%. After a night, the magic power fully recovered, and as Herag opened his eyes, his body and spirit felt refreshed. He still didn't rush to drink the potion for advancement, but intended to adjust his body state over a few days while reviewing the relevant knowledge of advancement. You succeeded on the first try? Larry was very surprised to hear the news. Many times it almost ended in failure, so hard. Herag sighed. Larry looked at Herag like a monster. You know, I had already prepared the Dawn Potion for you, because I never thought you could succeed. Huh. Herag was surprised, not expecting Larry to have prepared the Dawn Potion for him. Larry smiled and said, I originally wanted you to use this opportunity to gain some experience in magic potion refining. The Dawn Potion is still too difficult for you, but you actually succeeded. Genius! I've seen many wizards, and your talent in magic potion is unparalleled. Your wizard aptitude is 75 points, but your talent in magic potion can be rated as 95 points. Herag touched the back of his head, not expecting such high praise from Larry. During the refining process of the Dawn Potion, Shenlong played a crucial role, and without Shenlong, he would have truly been unable to succeed. Thank you, Mr. Larry, for your compliment. Here is the unused portion of the Dawn Potion materials I borrowed from you. Herag returned the unused materials. Larry snapped his fingers to collect the materials, then said solemnly, in a few days, you'll be a second-class wizard apprentice. The academy might assign you some tasks. Tasks? Larry explained. You know about the recent matter with the Green Cottage, right? Initially, it was just Malcolm's personal vendetta, and such clashes have happened before. But a week ago, both sides had level 1 wizards confront each other. Level 1 wizards. Herag realized the severity of the situation. Conflicts between wizard apprentices were only trivial matters. Once level 1 wizards are involved, it escalates to a conflict between 2 wizard organizations. Thus, it can be foreseen that in the upcoming period, our battles with Green Cottage won't cease, and the situation will only become tenser. I can see from the magic potions the forest commissioned me to refine in this period that they plan something big. Both sides seem to want to use this as an excuse to go all out, and the battle won't cease easily. It might even evolve into a war between 2 wizard organizations. Herag had read in some tomes about the records of wizard wars. Even official wizards might not be able to protect themselves, let alone wizard apprentices, who in such times become expendables. Many magic arrays are even triggered by the sacrifice of hundreds of wizard apprentices, unleashing great power. I still remember the last wizard war I personally experienced. Every day, countless people died in various tragic ways. The night after the war ended, few houses in the northern forest region had their lights on, Larry recalled. Were there no wizard apprentices who escaped? Herag asked. In times of large-scale wars, weaker wizard apprentices should choose to flee knowing danger has arrived. Larry helplessly shook his head. Do you remember the form you filled out on the day you joined? Form. Harag suddenly had a realization. Moonlight Forest seems to have little management over wizards, but there's actually a means of constraint. Yes, that form I told you about. It contains magic. Aside from identity recording and authentication functions, it's also a contract. If Moonlight Forest wants to take action against you, you can't escape, Larry explained. Harag was somewhat surprised, but then realized it made sense. There are no free lunches. Moonlight Forest will not provide these conditions for free, and when they need you, you must step up. However, this still left Harag with a sense of discomfort, as he didn't want his destiny to be controlled by others. So, during a war, do we, the wizard apprentices, have to follow Moonlight Forest arrangements? Harag asked. Larry shook his finger. There are 4 ways. The first is, if you can be promoted to an official wizard, the magic's binding effect on you will lapse. At that time, you can decide whether to stay at Moonlight Forest or leave based on your own will. If you stay, you must re-sign a contract, a fair exchange of interests. The second option is to apply to leave the organization, but generally it's not feasible, except when your life is nearing its end and you want to leave. Third, if you're often outside, the forest can't manage you. Many wizards are in extremely remote places and cannot be contacted. This method doesn't work now. The forest now has entry and exit controls, and you must have a legitimate reason to go out. The last option is to be executing tasks outside, which is also one of the current legitimate reasons for going out. Harag listened carefully, pondered slightly, and asked, Mr. Larry, so it seems the most suitable for me is to take a task and then go out publicly? Larry replied, In theory, yes, but such tasks must be officially issued by Moonlight Forest, and many people scramble to take them. The duration of these tasks isn't fixed. You might have to return after just 1 or 2 months. Harag furrowed his brow. It seemed the ostensibly safe Moonlight Forest now constantly faced the risk of possibly engaging in a war. But there's one other way. Larry smiled meaningfully, staring at Harag. Harag felt a bit uneasy under his gaze and tentatively asked, What way? Become my student, Larry said slowly. Student. Harag had somewhat expected this outcome. Larry had always taken care of him, not necessarily out of being a good person, but more because of recognizing Harag's potential, something Harag had always been aware of. If he could become his student, he could surely avoid many detours. Larry smiled. How about it, Harag? Are you willing to become my student? Harag didn't rush to answer, but instead asked, What do I need to pay? Larry smiled. No need to worry. I won't make you give up your soul or anything like that. In fact, the teacher-student relationship is essentially a stable interest relationship. I help you now, and if you can help me in the future, you do so. Wizards don't talk about emotions. Interests are always the most effective tool for maintaining relationships. Actually, the things I've sacrificed for you so far are worthless to me, requiring no cost at all. I originally wanted to observe a bit longer, at least until you could advance to a third-class wizard apprentice before considering taking you as a student, as only then would you have enough value. But your talent in magic potion makes me reconsider, and after deliberation, I believe you already have enough value. So, Harag, are you willing to become my student? Harag laughed. Greetings, Mr. Larry. Very well. Hold on. I'll explain the points you need to note during the advancement process. And if you encounter any special situations and how to handle them, after you complete the advancement, I'll arrange a task for you. You can then go outside Moonlight Forest to avoid the forthcoming turmoil, Larry arranged. What about you, teacher? Are you staying at Moonlight Forest? Harag asked.